What's going on? 602. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Major League Baseball draft got started yesterday, and the Tennessee Vols led all schools in players drafted on night one with 4. Christian Moore went 8th overall to the Angels. Blake Burke went 34th overall to the Brewers. Billy Amick in the second round to the Twins. And Dylan Dreiling to the Rangers at 65 overall. SEC Media Days start today. 3HL will be live from Dallas, keeping you up to date with all the happenings. Today, you'll hear from Commissioner Greg Sankey, Brian Kelly, Shane Beamer, Lane Kiffin, and Clark Lee. In the NFL, Ian Rappaport reports T. Higgins and the Bengals will not come to a new contract agreement by the deadline today, meaning Higgins will play on the franchise tag for the 2024 season. He officially signed his franchise tag on June 17th. And in case you missed it, Titans defensive lineman Jeffery Simmons going to join the show today at 9:20. If you can't be in the car or listen to that interview, make sure you check out the podcast immediately following the show. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning and a brand new week begins on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW 104.5 The Zone. Hope you had a very nice and healthy July weekend. We are just over a week away, ladies and gentlemen, from Tennessee Titans training camp, and we have got the face of your Tennessee Titans joining us this morning at 9:20. Jeffery Simmons on the show later today. 615-737-1045. Brad Crawford at 247 at 8:20. SEC Media Days off and running. There is a lot to discuss. Don't let anybody tell you there's nothing to talk about in the world of sports. That is never the case on this radio program. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Will Bowling. Monday, July the 15th. How we doing? Good morning.
We're good, man. Yeah. Good morning. Good. Happy Monday, man.
Yeah, whatever day it is, I just go with the flow until football season because that's when the schedule hits.
Yes.
That's when you get regimented. Up until then, I'll just free ball it.
Just continue to roll
exactly.
on. I'm telling you, man.
You know what I was realizing last night when I was watching the MLB draft, which started up last night? I'm like, if you are in Dallas this weekend and you cover sports, especially at the local level, you are literally getting a 3-for-1 because you've got the MLB draft, you've got the MLB All-Star, Home Run Derby / game, and then you've got SEC Media Days. So I'm like, if you were a person covering a local, I'm like, that is where you get the most bang for your buck. They don't send us anymore. Like when I was in local news, they didn't send us anywhere in the last 3 years, but that's something where I think you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's going on in Dallas this weekend.
I had somebody showed a diagram of like how big Dallas is. Like, be careful of saying I'm moving to Dallas and I'm moving there for a job and where you stick because I think it's like Dallas is so big, it takes like 2 hours to get from one end of Dallas to the other. So
it's pretty big.
You be careful if you move to Dallas is all I'm saying. Logistically, check out where you're going to live at and where your job is located at. Because it's Dallas, but it's not really that close. So fascinating.
What would you be willing to pay to go to the Home Run Derby this week?
What would I be willing to pay? Yeah, I got to get 4 tickets. I'm not paying.
In this case, let's just say 2. Make it a little bit easier.
2 tickets? I'd probably pay no more.
Pretend you're unlovable. Pretend no one would want to go with you, Ramon.
I'd probably pay about $275.
Okay.
Yeah.
Per ticket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If nobody likes me, like Burke said, I'd probably go up for a little bit more because I want to be close to it.
Do we want to play the Price is Right today? What is the cheapest ticket available for the Home Run Derby tonight?
Okay.
Cheapest?
In Dallas.
I'll go first on something like this. I ain't even looked.
Two tickets is the rule here. This is Vivid Seats I'm looking at.
You're probably paying $235 a ticket.
Per ticket? I'll go $250.
Robert Walsh?
I will say $180 for both.
Robert Walsh is your winner, $123.
Okay.
$60 a pop.
not
Wow.
bad.
No, 123 each.
Oh,
Yeah.
each.
Yeah.
Digging
Okay,
that
gotcha.
couch.
Gotcha.
Yeah, digging that couch a little bit more.
I'll have to.
Yeah,
I would
right?
have to.
123 each is the cheapest ticket. So
123.
That's not bad.
I know 3HL had
No.
discussed this. Joseph is down.
Yeah.
And then Brent was like, yeah, no, I'll go. And then Slay and Dom are a little bit more like on the fence.
Oh, they're
Maybe
on
on
the
the
fence.
couch in the bar.
Ah,
Maybe not
True.
really the fence is where they were sitting.
Yeah,
it's,
nah.
it's always hard, though, like when you get to go to things your whole career free, like paying for something like that. It's just hard. I'm like, can I get a free ticket somehow? Can I get a credential? Because
Yeah.
I'm not used to this, like forking out money for it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No,
Like, wait a second.
For the most part, I've mostly paid for stuff like that unless I've known somebody with a box or something. But like me, I've
Right.
mostly always paid, even in like Pittsburgh events. I remember when Drake was coming, like everybody paid for their own tickets for stuff like that. The only one it wasn't was, of course, was Wiz Khalifa concert and stuff.
Right.
But for the most part, we pay or you hope one of your quarterbacks get a suite to it.
Yeah.
So one or the other have to happen.
That's the perk of covering teams your whole life because you can't afford to buy it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So getting a free ticket while you're covering it, I'll take it any day of the week.
People in Miami agreed with you for this soccer event this weekend. They also did not want to pay for any tickets. Did you
thought-
guys see this? That was
No.
crazy.
I thought Will
It
was
was-
bull crapping on
It was
Thursday.
absolutely ridiculous how you had
No one
people
was there?
climbing through air ducts
Oh my
to sneak
gosh.
into the stadium. You had people that were propping up on other people's shoulders and jumping over the roof of the ticket booth.
And folks waiting
To
for
sneak
them
in.
to pull them up.
And the game was delayed an hour and a half. Kickoff was because so many people rushed the gates to storm in. There were thousands of people who got in without being checked by security. So they could have had guns, they could have had knives, they could have had weapons and stuff. And people with tickets who had paid over $2,500 to get tickets because that's what the price went up to. We talked about this Friday. The cheapest ticket was $1,500. It went up to $2,500.
Wow.
Was the get-in price for Colombia, Argentina last night in Hard Rock Stadium. And there were people with tickets standing outside who could not get in because they closed down all access to the stadium once the gates got rushed by people who didn't have tickets. It was
Yikes.
one of the crazier things I've seen. I'm shocked that there was not like a major disaster that came out of this after the game when Argentina won in extra time because there were thousands of people in there who did not have tickets and just rushed the gates.
Yeah,
Literally.
I
was
saw
crazy.
it. I saw it when it was broadcast. I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute
Fox
here.
last night.
Did you see the post game pictures?
No.
Kayla.
Oh yeah,
didn't
nobody
watch
talked
that.
to the media. It was 2 a.m. and all of the Argentina team was on the pitch, not talking with media, just like celebrating. No one went through the mix zone. Like you had reporters who were there literally till 2 a.m. and all of their stories have zero quotes post game because none of them actually went to their media obligations. The U.S. caught a lot of strays in this because worldwide soccer fans are like, "Oh, are you kidding me? Why is this country hosting a World Cup? They can't even host a Copa America." It's like, no, CONMEBOL can't host a good Copa America. It's not the U.S.'s fault. It's the organizers that are the South American Football Association that botched this.
As old as Miami Gardens is too, like that could have really had some damage done to that building right there. Maybe it was built well and maybe reinforced as of late, but the stuff that they were tearing down and the ducts and I mean they
Sheesh.
obliterated a escalator. Like there was nothing you could do with this escalator after the fact. You see some of the
Yeah,
images from it
In the
it
VIP
was
area, that's right.
bad. But I'll say this: if you take away all the outside antics of it, looking at it inside Miami Gardens Stadium was phenomenal. The sounds were insanely good.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
It was intense. I didn't realize it was that intense of a match, though.
Oh yeah, life and death, man. Colombia's only
That's
ever won
crazy.
one Copa America. It was 2001.
Yeah.
Trying to go again.
I
Couldn't do it.
You know what got me though? The over the top faking injuries. I was just like,
Yeah, I'll
That's-
agree with you on that in South America.
was
like
it
that's
worse
always a
last
part
night,
of
or
it.
is that
It's
just
worse in South America.
Okay.
It's not a European thing. It's not it is literally just South America. And Lucas Panzica will come in here at 8:30 when he gets in for work today, and he will 100% agree.
How much
with me.
overtime was it? Because they were on the ground. Like Messi, I think, actually rolled his ankle. It looked like his actually got trapped.
Yeah, did you see the picture of how swollen it was?
No, I missed all that.
It looks like a beach ball.
He actually
he had to
did
come
get
off.
rolled.
Yeah, he had to come off injured.
But the dude before him, though, like he didn't even get. He was holding his Achilles. I was like,
he had to roll. He literally rolled because if you get hurt and you're off the field, they can continue 11 versus 10. So he rolled back onto the field
that's
of
why
play.
he was waving dude
that
off.
way he can get medical attention and delay it, and they are not a man down until he gets it back up.
Okay.
MLS has new rules on this that they are basically workshopping for the whole world, that if a player is down for more than 20 seconds, they have to be a man down for 2 minutes. So you have to receive treatment off the field, and you play 11 versus 10 for 2 minutes. So you have less guys faking injuries in MLS, because if you are down for more than 20 seconds, then your team has to play a man down for 2 minutes, and you can't come back on the field.
I get that. Very, very interesting, though, from all I could tell.
It was a spectacle, man. Yes. It was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch, but not as fun as the Euros, to be fair, in Spain beating England.
Yeah.
It did not come home 2-1.
And you had a big track weekend this weekend also.
In Memphis.
My little niece was there.
Yeah, so she was there in the prelims.
Okay.
So basically, I'm looking down my whole list. We've got all these pros. And in Memphis, they do a youth, like area athletes 100-meter dash.
Yeah.
And she was not there in the final. I guess she decided she had the time she wanted in the prelim and was good. But I'm literally looking through all the notes, and there's all these Olympians and like world champions, and then Ramon's niece. I'm like, what the heck? It was kind of cool.
That's what she does, man. That's awesome.
But as you guys know, I went all the way to Kansas City to call a meet that was in Memphis. Kansas City has the best barbecue in America.
Yeah, it's
Kansas City has the best barbecue in America.
I've seen, maybe the Kansas side of it, okay, or the Missouri side of it.
Q39 in Kansas City.
Solid?
Best barbecue I've ever had.
It's funny.
I sat down, they said, get the brisket platter that has burnt ends and then get a side rib. It's like,
that's a
I can just get
bonus.
one side rib for $5. Like, yep. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Best barbecue in America.
For sure.
Let's get this kid to Lexington.
I've been to Lexington. That was my
North Carolina.
Okay. I was going to say my first ever
The
Tennessee
barbecue
game was in
capital of the
Lexington.
world.
Mustard base?
Somebody already says in the chat, Nashville or Memphis barbecue is untouchable. No, it's very touchable.
I go Texas or Memphis.
Texas and North Carolina are already ahead of Tennessee barbecue, in my opinion.
I'm partial because I'm West Tennessee.
I know.
Yeah, definitely.
615-737-1045. Jeffery Simmons coming up later today at 9:20. And when we come back, SEC Media Days begin in the Lone Star State. What is most interesting to you as 4 teams make the rounds today and this morning throughout the afternoon? We'll talk about that next.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
Are you not able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of joint pain? This is the best time for being outdoors, but if your knees, shoulders, back, or hips are hurting, it's probably not that great of a time. But we can fix that, and you don't have to suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here, and it is at QC Kinetics, and you can give them a call today. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, and I'm talking about lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged tissue so you can walk and run, hike, play golf, and move again pain-free. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of former orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, a true pioneer in regenerative medicine, bringing it now to everyone. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility back. So be one of those. Stop putting it off. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Here are some facts about engagement rings you need to know. There are 10 premier bridal designers every woman knows about. They're like the Mercedes or the Louis Vuitton of engagement rings. World-class, iconic, quality names. Names like Tacori and Verragio. These designers are hard to get. Every jewelry store wants them, but very few make the cut. So they have to settle for lesser brands or even knockoffs. Around here, there's only one jewelry store that offers these premium rings, and it's Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is the only one that made the cut that meets the highest standards. Genesis is the only store that's allowed to offer these exceptional brands that women really want. Other stores are jealous of this and will try to convince you that these are more expensive and try to get you to settle for something else. But the truth is, Genesis has top quality designer rings for under $2,000, and it's not about the price either. It's about the craftsmanship and quality and detail and individuality. So don't compromise. Just don't settle. Get her a world-class ring she will be proud to wear. Genesis Diamonds are located in Green Hills and Cool Springs and also home to the state's largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 1045. The Zone, 615-737-1045. How you join us? Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch.
Twitch, please.
This morning, if you are looking for us on Twitter, we are not there. Best place to go is YouTube. You can thank Elon Musk for that and requiring blue check marks now to live stream on Twitter.
Dang,
so you can find us on YouTube.
Dang.
Best place to watch anyway.
Elon?
That's all right.
Hate that they do this. They get you in, and then next thing you know, they add a tax to it, man. I'm so over people with this. Never mind. I can go on and on. We got
You really
sports.
can.
I could.
You really could.
I could. I hate that. Y'all know I hate they get us in, and then they charge us more later.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, not really. It's really not, but we're here, though.
SEC Media Days start today in Dallas. Commissioner Greg Sankey will meet with the media at 9:05 Central Time. LSU at 10 with Garrett Nussmeier, Mason Taylor, and Harold Perkins. South Carolina at 11:35. We'll see what kind of weird video Shane Beamer in South Carolina has cooked up. I don't really hate them as much as Ramon does, but we will see what they do. Ole Miss at 1:50 and Vanderbilt rounds out day one at 3:20. What is the number one thing you are most interested to hear from the State of the SEC address today from Greg Sankey?
I think for myself, I've been thinking about this growth of the SEC. Is there more to come? Will he answer that head on? I'm sure somebody's going to ask him his governance of the SEC also. What can be done about the speed issues that universities are having? And again, Georgia's the poster boy for it, but I know it's going on every SEC campus. It's going on every campus in general. ACC, it doesn't matter. Big 12, Big 10, everybody's doing the heck. We remember years back, right? I think Ohio State just had a car issue where they were getting cars. Everybody's got something, right? And I know NIL is a part of all of this. You can't really strip kids' keys away, but I think there has to be some implications here or there for kids and schools that have these issues that pop up, whether that be miss a quarter, whether that be miss a half. Something has to happen as it pertains to discipline of road issues that I think universities are having. So growth and discipline of road issues that are popping up, because that could be the one thing that can become a black eye if you lose another athlete like that.
Yeah, the growth question will definitely be brought up. I just don't think we'll get any different type of answer with them just adding Texas and Oklahoma. I'm sure the question of FSU Clemson will be asked in terms of, hey, we've heard they might be in the works with the Big 12. What do you feel like, the SEC could do in terms of future adding? I don't think Sankey will answer that in any kind of surprising way. I think it will probably be right now we're happy with what we have, adding Texas and Oklahoma. I'm curious as to just his overall opinion right now on entering this season and where he feels like college football is at, if at all he feels like the portal is settling down a little, if all he feels like, the NIL is becoming a little bit more organized. I just wonder if he has any comments on just the state of college football right now in general as we enter this year. And curious, too, about the competition and how he feels like now with really two major conferences in the mix, if that is truly good for the game, or if he sees change within conferences in the future, too. He'll clearly probably talk about expansion in terms of the playoffs this year and, what it would mean to get a big pot of SEC teams in there, because I'm sure that will be a reality. So I think he'll address a lot of things. And you're right, Ramon. I'm sure he'll address the Georgia situation and maybe probably keep it more general, as Kirby will probably have to be more detailed because it is mostly his team they're worried about in terms of reports in the SEC. So I bet you we'll hear a lot from Sankey, but those are just kind of the few things that I think will be brought up.
I think this time around it's less about expansion and more about employment. And that is something that Greg Sankey has commented on at SEC spring meetings, said to be in collective bargaining, you have to be in an employment situation. I have not had a student athlete come to me and say they want to be taxed like an employee. There are a lot of holes in that argument. Athletes already pay taxes on money earned via name, image, and likeness. They would do so again on revenue sharing. And quite honestly, I mean, if you are an employee, you get taxed substantially less than if you are not an employee, if you are a quote-unquote independent contractor in that bracket. So I'm not sure who the athletes Greg Sankey is talking to are or how little they understand about how that tax situation actually works. But I think Greg Sankey is very calculated in all of the words that he chooses to use. And you did not hear him say there that he is against it. He's trying to make a statement and craft an argument based off of things that he is hearing. But I think he's very careful not to suggest that that's his position. So I think the employment conversation, Greg Sankey has already brought that up. He has already opened that door. That door is going to be walked through at some point. The question is, how does the collective bargaining part of that work? And is there a player union? There's just so much to figure out on that side of thing. And I'm curious how much Greg Sankey just opens that door himself before he's even asked about it today.
Yeah. That's going to be fascinating. I almost think it's easier to be employed. Again, because you get all this
100%.
money up front and then you got to have money on the back end and start paying your taxes off too. That's where, to me, I think you set yourself up later. And again, the other side of it too is since they're students, student athletes still, the team still takes care of medical and life insurance. I mean, not life insurance, but health insurance. So they don't have to pay for that. They really, I don't think, will have to put into a 401k unless they really want to. So the majority of the money would just be taxes paid out. But it's better to probably get that on the front end of things for these student athletes if they do decide to have this as an employment-based thing. My issue is, again, not my issue, but I guess the conversation can come up to where it's, okay, how do professors feel about being on the same payroll as the students that they're teaching too? And will at some point they ask for raises? Because again, these professors, presidents, and chancellors also recruits teachers to be a part of their university to make better too. So it's a matter of, does this raise the pay scale for those also? That's the only issue I can see running into it, is if you have chemistry 101 teachers saying, hey, I need a pay raise because this kid has barely even been on campus and I've been here forever.
Oof.
So
the other part that's interesting is availability reports. Those have been discussed.
That's right.
How close are we to a legitimate injury report for SEC teams?
I think you have to do it now. I mean, we're talking about, these athletes get paid now, and I know not every single one gets the same amount of others, but especially if they become employees, like there's things now that, they're going to have to probably deal with in terms of these injury reports coming out, because in a way they are professionals. Amateurs, I get it, like they're still in college, but once you get money involved, things change.
Well, to me, it's more about the betting side, right?
Well, and that too, yeah. But, that's the thing about the new age that we're in. As an athlete, you're getting money, but at the same time, things are changing for you that you probably didn't have to deal with, or maybe your brother or sister that was in college or whatever that they didn't have to deal with. Now you're dealing with. It's going to be a lot different. And I know the injuries are usually pretty protected by college coaches. They don't like to put that information out there. And I just think that it's going to change. I think that'll be different.
I'll even say, as a player in college, I can distinctly remember us trying to game plan for people we thought was going to be there. Considering what we had in NFL, that makes the week planning so much better. Knowing the injury report, if we're already deep in it anyway, I'd much rather have that be the case, because you show up to a game on Saturday and I'm prepared for Carlos Dunlap all week long and he's not there. But then I know nothing about this backup who's probably a 5-star who hadn't really played a whole lot, but I need to be able to either see his high school tape or be able to see something. And that, I will say, that does suck. If we're trying to treat these young men, are getting closer and closer to being like semi-professional athletes, the injury report needs to be a part of this moving forward. I think it settles for the coaches. I think it makes for a better game plan. I somewhat think it makes for a better product on the field if I know who I'm game planning for. Yeah. That's me.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt taking the podium at 3:20. That is when Clark Lee, along with offensive lineman Gunnar Hansen, linebacker Langston Patterson, local guy from CPA, and the pride of Warren County High School, CJ Taylor, will make the rounds in Dallas. What do you want to hear from Clark Lee today? I've got one. I could start this one if you want me to.
Go ahead.
What do you hang your hat on this season if you're Vanderbilt? I think that's the biggest question, right? Because the rumors of what we have heard, the rumblings of you've got athletic quarterbacks, you've got Diego Pavia, you've got Utah's Nate Johnson who can run. How willing is Clark Lee to tell us how different Vanderbilt football will look this year? Because I don't think Vanderbilt can continue trying to be the hard-nosed, play defense and run the football kind of SEC program. And I think that Clark Lee is recognizing that there is an opportunity here with some exciting new members of that coaching staff, namely Jerry Kill, who's brought over like half of the New Mexico State roster, which was a pretty decent roster last season. How different are you going to be? This team was 131st out of 133 FBS teams in team defense. They ran for 95 rushing yards per game, 124th in college football. They had a decent passing offense because they were behind so much, and I don't mean that as a dig. It was the reality of the situation last year. Do you go all in on option run, deceive the defense, use the athleticism of your quarterback to your advantage? I think there's an opportunity for Vanderbilt and Clark Lee to kind of recreate who they are in this offseason going forward into 2024.
Well, that would be my question to him is what have you learned in your previous, tenure here that you can maybe look at and say, okay, that's not going to work. What can we do different? Again, with being a team that has, struggled to win games in the SEC specifically, what kind of approach do you take this season? Do you look at it as being kind of a fresh reset button type of approach with you getting in some of these new assistants? And I think I'm just curious as to kind of how he presents himself with the frustrations that he has to have with his program right now and not finding that success, and then adding two more, really high-powered teams to this conference. That's got to be a scary situation to be in if you're Clark Lee. I'm just curious of even really how he presents himself too, and how he kind of answer these what should be probably tough questions.
Mine is the quarterback for sure. From Mike Wright, pushed him out, and essentially, he got pushed out again. I think it's at Northwestern.
Yes.
AJ Swan last year, I thought he was the guy that you pushed out Mike Wright for. Now he's gone also. What do you do at that position? What kind of offense? Are you wing teeing it? Are you triple optioning it? Because to your point about talent, I know they've gotten a couple players here and there. I think they got a couple 4-stars in this cycle, and last recruiting cycle too, if I'm not mistaken. What are they going to do? Because again, in 2023, y'all, maybe it's because I talk so much trash about Vanderbilt. You just don't pay much attention to them. They lost 10 straight last year.
Yeah, 2-10 last season.
2-10.
Clark Lee is 2-22 in SEC play as the head coach of Vanderbilt. One of those wins was against Will Levis.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you get above board with making your players believe? Because again, to your point about two new big teams coming in, I think they got to play one, if not both of them this year anyway.
Texas is coming there, right?
Yes, yeah. And you're doing all these renovations to your stadium. How do you get your guys to believe in what you got going on other than trying to set them up for success on the field? That, to me, I think starts offensively. In today's game, they have to be able to put up points in some capacity. You look at they're under 20 points more times than not if you look at the schedule, or they're getting beat by 20 points or double digits. So that is very disheartening. You have at First Bank Stadium against Georgia. The attendance in that game was 28,500 people there. This is in Nashville.
And 23,000 of them are Georgia fans.
Yeah.
This is in Nashville. The brand on the field has to get better. I know he's an alum, and that's where I think you have to start. As wild and loud as Tony Vitello was, like, they might need something, because that's what James Franklin did initially the first time around. Be loud and obnoxious if you have to. I know it's a school of prestige, and they do it a certain way, but you're going to get smothered. And we're talking about in this college football climate with the portal and everybody just restacking, something has to change. Yeah, I would ask that question.
Right, and I think that Clark Lee has recognized a lot of that this offseason. It's why he's made changes at both coordinators. Joey Lynch is out. Nick Howell is demoted. Clark Lee is his own defensive coordinator, which I think is also a question that he will 100% be asked, is what is the time division look like for you as your own defensive coordinator? But bringing in Tim Beck from New Mexico State and Jerry Kill in an analyst role, who just led New Mexico State to their first consecutive bowl season since 1959 and 1960. I think Diego Pavi is the guy. Conference USA Player of the Year, threw for 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns. The Aggies were 10-5. He ran the ball a ton. And that's what Vandy's got to be, right? Because at the wide receiver position, London Humphreys is at Georgia. Will Shepard's now at Colorado.
Yep.
And Jaden McGowan's now at Boston College. So there's an opportunity. It's why I've always advocated, and the people that are on the train of just get a coach from Army or Navy or Air Force or be what Georgia Tech was under Paul Johnson is the best way for them moving forward. I still wholeheartedly believe that, because you will win 2 or 3 games a year just based off the fact that your offense is so different that defenses don't know how to prepare for it.
Yeah, it's a headache.
I do think they're going to go more towards the option this season, and if that rumor is true, then credit to Clark Lee, because that is what they need to be.
Yeah. I mean, to compete in the SEC, I mean, if you were Vanderbilt, and honestly, I know no one wants to hear this, but I almost feel like it would be better to be in a different conference to compete. I know that's never going to happen probably, but honestly, I just feel like even the ACC with now Cal and Stanford over there, I just feel like it would be more of an opportunity to start winning and being able to recruit. It's just so tough now, and it's not getting any easier for them with these 2 schools being added. It's kind of the reality, right?
I'll say, and it sound like an athlete, but nobody really cares about the academics in the SEC as long as you're not winning on the field. Yeah. I think that's fair to say. Are there some families that do? 100%. But as it pertains to Saturdays, they'll get their education regardless and win, too.
615-737-1045 is our number as Hour 1 continues. Coming up next, Tennessee baseball leading one category yesterday. A lot of local prospects hearing their name called up to the show, and we'll dive into that next.
United Structural System is a foundation repair and waterproofing company that has served Middle Tennessee since 1994. They have over 25,000 satisfied residential customers. So when it's hot and dry weather, we gonna get it this week, all right? You may notice soil cracking and pulling away from your home, leaving holes or gaps next to the foundation. Are your bricks cracking, walls bowing, doors or windows sticking? These are all signs of possible foundation issues. Your house may be trying to tell you something. And waterproofing also can include drainage and sealers, oftentimes both. Up to 50% of the air you breathe on the first floor of your home is air that comes from your crawl space. Control that moisture and create a healthier home for your family by encapsulating your crawl space. Mineral repairs are guaranteed for the lifetime of your home. Again, they've been here since 1994, United Structural Systems, that is. They aren't going anywhere. And when you work with a new guy in town, you have no guarantees that they will still be around when you have to use that warranty. United Structural Systems, we guarantee our best. Simply call USS at 615-488-7855 or online at USSTN.com.
This is your off-the-track racing report, brought to you by State Water Heaters.
Triumph at the Triangle. Reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion Ryan Blaney captured his second victory of the season by winning Sunday's The Great American Getaway 400 at Pocono Raceway. Both of his victories this season have come in the last 5 races. It was also the 30th win of his career. Blaney held off Denny Hamlin, the track's all-time winningest driver, by over a second. Blaney is now 5th in the driver's standings and became the 5th driver with multiple wins on the season. He took the lead on a restart with 44 laps remaining and never surrendered it, despite 2 more restarts and with Hamlin hotly in pursuit. The series heads to Indianapolis this Sunday for the Brickyard 400. Broadcast start is set for 1:30 Central on NBC. To IndyCar, Will Power went from the 22nd starting position all the way to the front to win Sunday at Iowa Speedway. It was his 19th attempt to win at the track.
This has been your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by State Water Heaters.
I'm Liz Allison. If there's anything that I don't like, it's not having enough hot water. That was me way too often until I switched to a State brand tankless water heater. Not only do I never run out of hot water, but I'm saving on my utility bill every month. State Water Heaters makes gas and electric, standard efficiency to high efficiency water heaters, and of course, my personal favorite, tankless water heaters, where the hot water never runs out. Visit statewaterheaters.com and click on the Find a Local Installer link on the main page, and you'll be on your way to owning your very own State brand water heater, just like me.
SEC Media Day is starting as talking season officially arrives in the world of college football. It's your Monday morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 615-737-1045. Another college sport taking center stage last night. Tennessee with more first-round picks and more picks in the MLB draft last night than anyone else in college baseball. Christian Moore, number 8 to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim in Los Angeles that happen to play in Anaheim.
Oh, they still play there?
So you've got Rakia Jackson, Dalton Connect, and Christian Moore all sharing the City of Angels.
Wow.
I hear now it's going to be nicknamed the City of Vols.
City of Vols. Vols West? That's where we are now? I did see a Vols bar in San Diego, too.
Christian Moore, the 20th first-round draft pick in Tennessee program history, the highest to go since Knoxville's Nick Senzel went number 2 overall in 2016 to the Cincinnati Reds. So you've got Christian Moore going number 8. You've got first baseman Blake Burt going 34th, who will move up precipitously through the minors. I think he'll get up to the big leagues very quickly. Billy Amick, 60 overall to Minnesota, and then Dylan Dreiling to the Texas Rangers. On the Vanderbilt side, Bryce Cunningham goes 53rd overall to the New York Yankees, and Georgia native Carter Holton is an Atlanta Brave. How about that? Pretty cool.
All of them went to good spots. I was looking at some of the draft picks last night that went to Oakland A's.
Well, hopefully.
I was like, ugh.
And hopefully Mr. Semo can help the Angels, because I will tell you this much. They have not been relevant.
Yeah, they're bad.
Except for, obviously, Trout, which he can't hold it all together. So maybe adding more talent. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to speak passionately on this because the Angels, they need to be better.
They do. They do.
I will make the statement now that I think Christian Moore will be the first player from this class to make the big leagues, like from the whole draft class, simply because the Angels bring guys up quicker than any team in Major League Baseball other than maybe the White Sox. So Chase Silseth and Ben Joyce, 2 Tennessee guys that are already Angels, but they bring guys up the same year that they draft them. And Angels director of scouting yesterday says that they see Christian Moore as a second baseman, which is also a bit surprising. He was projected as a corner outfielder most places.
So what were you saying?
No, nothing. I was just going to say that's big for him. I think who needed this the most was probably one, Christian Moore, because he busted his butt. I mean, he's from New York. Like playing baseball up there and coming down to the SEC changed for his family. But I think Tony V needed this for sure also as far as a program settler to be like, hey, we can develop our own and we can take on your transfers too. It was good on him and just good on the program. And congrats to all those guys, man. It was super cool to watch it. And on top of this, more college players drafted in the first round than it was high schooler, which was a nice change of pace. I thought it does show that these MLB organizations are going for more development, a little bit more refined player than they were in years past. Although there's a lot of good young high school talent they got drafted too.
Yeah, but on the point of that, I think that is really why college baseball, in terms of viewership, is growing too, and interest. Because you are having these players maybe, even come back, or they decide, okay, let's stick it out for a little bit, NIL money, a chance to win and a chance to develop. So then when I am drafted, and again, the numbers proven in the first round, just ratio-wise, the number of college baseball players that were recruited compared to high schoolers, a lot of times they get in the system now. And this was not like this even, 5-6 years ago. It's more so been recently with development in college baseball. They are bouncing right up to the bigs. I mean, in record time, a lot of these really good players that are being developed at places like Tennessee, that's the one I want to look at specifically because Tony V has been really good about developing his guys. Yes, he's getting transfer guys, but more so, I think he's getting what he needs out of these guys that he brings in as high schoolers. And now he's putting in these players to the draft, and I think you're going to start to see it.
And to that point, Garrett Crochet is an all-star as the ace of the Chicago White Sox. And I said it at the time, and it was a bit of an unpopular opinion, but it's ended up being true that out of all the star-studded SEC pitchers in that group, Garrett Crochet was the best one of them. He just didn't get a 2020 COVID season when he was a senior. Garrett Crochet is about the only thing the White Sox have to hang their hat on at this point. He's made 20 starts this year. He has a 3.02 ERA. So literally over the weekend, there was a moment where Garrett Crochet was being interviewed on MLB Network with Tony Vitello set to join MLB Network coverage that weekend. You're starting to see the really good players that Tony has recruited and developed start to all make the big leagues and make an impact at the same time. And it takes a little while.
It does. Well, you talk about development and stuff. What we didn't see last night either, no mid-major. Sam Houston maybe, but the portal is also affecting the
that's
draft.
true.
It was major D1 colleges other than the high school prospects.
Yeah.
Not a single Dallas Baptist, community college, nothing, because these coaches are going to grab those guys, give them NIL money, and then also develop and winning with them. No small school. And it's not to say there's not a lot of talent there, but if you're good at a small school, just like this past weekend, they got a lefty, I think, out of California from a JUCO. The Vols did. They're coming to get you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's changed so much.
They're coming to get you.
Yeah.
Very interesting. The Braves took the first high school pitcher of the first round that he lasted until 17 overall.
And he's so good, you guys.
Lefty that throws upper 90s, 17-year-old from Arizona.
Yes.
He is a stud.
Yes.
LSU commit.
Travis's really good friend who he helped coach for over in Arizona when we lived in Tucson, he coached the team against this kid in the championship game this year. And he goes, we beat him one time in the regular season. He said, facing him in the championship game, it was all him. Like, he is the reason why that team won the national championship. He's just that special. So good for the Braves. I know you don't care about pitching, Will. You think in other categories they need to build, but
it's that I thought with one of their first two picks, they needed a position player who could help them within the next 2 years. But that is not the organizational mentality of the Braves. I was just curious if it would change, at least in the second round.
They have the best development of pitchers, though, and I think that's something that you have to be proud of, because that's something you always need.
Oh, yeah.
615-737-1045. SEC Media Days are here. Who gives us the best quote today as talking season begins? We've got that for you to start hour 2 next.
If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked, and it's just a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatments for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for the treatment. For established patients with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, your BMI health can also be evaluated for treatment with prescription weight loss medication. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
7:03. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Major League Baseball draft underway. Got started yesterday. The Tennessee Volunteers led all schools in players drafted on night one with 4. Christian Moore, 8th overall to the Angels. Blake Burke, 34th overall to the Brewers. Billy Amick in the second round to the Twins. And Dylan Dreiling to the Rangers at 65. The SEC Media Days start today. 3HL will be live from Dallas, keeping you up to date on all the happenings. Today, you'll hear from Commissioner Greg Sankey, LSU head coach Brian Kelly, Shane Beamer, Lane Kiffin, Clark Lee, the whole gang. So keep updated on that. The NFL, Ian Rappaport reports T. Higgins and the Bengals will not come to a new contract agreement by the deadline today, meaning Higgins will play on the franchise tag for the 2024 season. He officially signed his franchise tag on June 17th. And in case you missed it, Titans defensive lineman Jeffery Simmons going to join the show at 9:20. If you can't be in the car or listen to the interview, make sure you check out on all your podcast channels immediately following the show. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Seven a.m., hour number 2, starting this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 104.5. The Zone, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, myself, Will Boulding. Coming up at 9:20 this morning, we will be joined by a very big Jeffery Simmons, live on the program. Looking forward to that. And you can hop in the F&M Bank chat, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook Live if you want to submit your questions.
Yeah.
For Jeffery Simmons.
Wait, where'd Twitch go?
Twitch was
I said
second.
Twitch.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Twitch, please.
No, because it was off rhythm right there.
Okay.
Plus, Bert's occupied, so I won either way. Twitch, please.
Got it.
Yeah, I won anyway.
615-737-1045 is our number. You can hop in the chat there and let us know what you want to hear from Big Jeff. And in 15 minutes, we're going to talk about the tweet that got the people talking last week about media and negative versus positive coverage that also got Buck Rising talking.
We do.
Right after y'all's show on Friday.
He was talking probably for an hour about it.
Yeah, offering up his opinion. I can't wait to get that. I'm excited.
I'm excited to offer my opinion since I covered the team too. So it's a little bit different, and I get some of the points Buck made, but I guess I'll just say I think some of those things you can't take as personally.
Yeah, we'll see how we all what's our perspectives on this one. I saw the reaction for the most part from this past weekend after the Jamal Adams signing, and it was all across the board. So I can understand where Big Jeff comes from, but I can understand where the media comes from, and that's too. Heck, I am media, so
I was going to say you've got the valuable perspective considering you've been in a locker room and you've been a Big J journalist. Do that coming up in 15 minutes.
Small J.
615-737-1045. LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt begin talking season today in the SEC city of Dallas. He says with the utmost sarcasm, I am of the opinion this will be one of the worst attended SEC media days of all time.
It would be one of the worst?
Yes.
Really?
It's going to cost a lot of small budget news organizations a lot of money to send their people to Dallas. Yeah. And I just don't think a lot of them are going to do it. Unless
they're covering, like I said earlier, they're getting a 3-for-1. And really that's the way local TV
100%.
Works, you know? Yeah. So maybe that's the plus of it. I don't know.
It's interesting. Austin Price made the statement to us, and I totally agree that unless you've got reporters, newspaper reporters, and local TV that are driving upwards of 12 hours to get there, and I promise you somebody will.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think there's going to be a lot of people there.
Yeah.
I'm glad 3HL can be there, so you can tune into them to hear all the interviews you need, but
the Dallas crowd would be there, and folks would be trying to find something to do during the daytime and stuff like that. And of course, you got LSU, which is they have a nice fan base, I'm guessing, in the Texas area too. So it'll be fine. The headliner of this, to me, it probably is Brian Kelly and LSU, just to be honest with you. I think Lane is the best team there today. If we're talking about Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and LSU, Ole Miss is the belle of the ball as far as the way we look at what they're supposed to be this year.
Because you know who their quarterback is, right?
Yes.
You know what you probably are going to get out of him.
Yes, we do, and also with Lane. Lane's got to be hyper motivated this year. He just lost his father, I'm sure.
Right.
There's motivation there to be constant. To be really locked into his team, and they simply have a really, really, really good team anyway. And I think their pathway to a national championship is probably one of the best ones besides Missouri this year.
Mm-hmm. I am interested to hear Brian Kelly, though. And I'm interested to hear how he answers some of the tough questions are going to come his way, because they're LSU. They're expected, especially having that national championship. And I know it wasn't under him, but he was hired to kind of get back to that spot and quickly. And I feel like people give a lot of credit to LSU, and rightfully so. They've done a lot of winning, and they have a traditional program. But now is the time to actually execute. And the biggest part of this is the NIL stuff. Yeah. And I'm interested to hear the questions that will come Brian Kelly's way in terms of NIL, and maybe he gets out there and says, we're not going to just, throw money at people. But in reality, when you need to bolster your defense specifically and get some of those guys, like at what point are you going to have to give a little in that category? And I'm just interested to see how Brian navigates those type of questions with the NIL stuff.
They're bringing the most star-studded group there, too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I don't know a lot about Nussmeier, but Mason Taylor is also Jason Taylor's son, Hall of Famer, and Harold Perkins is another one of those LSU or Alabama linebackers that's about to go first round.
Nussmeier, former 5-star quarterback.
Former 5-star, so they got some flex inside of that building this week. So looking forward. I feel like Mason Taylor's been there forever. I remember he first got into a bowl game.
I know.
Goodness.
For me, it's all about Ole Miss today. Jackson Dart, Trey Harris, Jared Ivey, the trio that make the rounds. I think Ole Miss has the number one wide receiver room in college football. When you look at Trey Harris, Jordan Watkins, and Dayton Wade last year, only Dayton Wade is out, and you add in Juice Wells, the all-SEC wide receiver from South Carolina. A bit awkward that Juice Wells makes the rounds the same day his former team and former coach does as well, and Shane Beamer in South Carolina, but 14 starters are back for Ole Miss, meaning that they lost 3 starters, but they added 6 starters of other Power 5 offenses, including 2 offensive linemen from the best offensive line in college football last year at Washington. They've got Nate Caleppo and Julius Buello, full-time starters for Washington, the team that led the nation in pass protection, and both will factor into the starting lineup in 2024. I'm interested to see how Lane Kiffin handles the rat poison, because he is getting a lot of rat poison this offseason in his favor.
Yes, he is.
And he should.
And he should. That's what I was going to say. He's paid his dues. He understands 100%. What it takes to win in this league, and he's beat some of the bigs. He has. He's checked every single box, but collectively couldn't get it together defensively. Now, it does come down to, can Jackson Dart deal with this amount of talent, with this type of squad, with this type of coach and this type of year, too? Because, again, personally for Lane, there's a lot invested for him, too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then the justification of these other teams coming into the SEC is not an easier walk for either one of these teams. So, again, we'll put in a sign 17 4-star and 5-star transfers. That's insane. That's immediate help. If Lane, to that point, too, can coach it up. Because you mentioned the rat poison side of it, too. How many years, I'm sure, it took Nick Saban to get to that point of understanding, they just propping me up to watch me lose, too. Because, again, everybody's saying this about Lane, but if you're asking people to pick between him and Eli Drinkwitz, they want to see Lane probably lose. And it'd be okay with Drinkwitz surprising everybody else the way I personally view it.
Yeah. I think Lane's in his own lane, no pun intended. I don't think Lane gives an you-know-what about what type of flowers he's being thrown because he might have the best wide receiver core. I don't think he cares.
Okay.
I think he's at this point of his career where he's already been poo-pooed. He's already put his foot in his mouth in several situations that I think he's just going to do what he needs to do down there in Oxford. And I think he's kind of tunnel visioned at this point. As much as he's on, X and Twitter and he does his fun stuff, that's always going to be Lane. But I do feel like he is focused as a coach to handle the business that has been given him. And yes, there are higher expectations always if you have, the top wide receiver group or whatever. I just think that Lane's been through so much in his career and has had to grow so much as a coach, and he might be still hated by a lot of people, that I don't think that type of thing in terms of propping them up is going to really get to him.
615-737-1045. Your phone calls on SEC Media Days and a Titans media discussion are next. Hey, it's Will Bowling here from my friends at Lee Company. The only thing that's predictable about the weather is that it is unpredictable. Make sure your home is ready for the next storm or heat wave with the Lee Company home maintenance plan. I can't recommend this enough. You sign up today, and for $12 a month, Lee Company, they just take care of you. All seasons, all day, anytime you need them. Their expert technicians will come out 4 times a year to take care of your air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems. You've got your one-stop shop for help with your home. You're going to get it year-round. Air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical by one professional team. You got to call the folks at Lee Company. They are great to deal with at 615-567-1000 or go online. Their website is great at leecompany.com. That's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical by the professional folks at Lee Company, 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company, all you need. Rolling through hour number 2 on this morning's Ramon, Kayla, and Will RKW. And if you are unavailable to hear Jeffery Simmons live on the show at 9:20, go ahead and subscribe to the Ramon, Kayla, and Will podcast feed. Our entire chat with Big Jeff will be posted there by 10 o'clock this morning. So you'll be able to hear that wherever you download podcasts. Hit the subscribe button. It will appear in your feed the second it hits the internet. 615-737-1045. Going to talk Titans and media coverage coming up in just a moment, but we've got a couple of you waiting on the phone lines to talk about SEC football this morning. Let's start with David in Nolensville. First up. Good morning, David.
Wanted to call in and talk about Missouri.
Yeah.
Ramon, before I get to that, after I was on hold, you guys were talking about Lane Kiffin versus Drinkwitz. I dislike Drinkwitz way more already. And I'm a Tennessee fan because Kiffin is that way for everybody, right? He says goofy stuff, and you kind of know his shtick. Drinkwitz is a punk, and he's managed to piss me off more in a couple of years than Kiffin has ever. But regarding Missouri, Ramon, I know they beat us last year bad, but are they really a national championship contender? And why do you think that? And I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, David.
Well, they got the defense for it. They've recruited well. They got the schedule. Are they national contender? No. Will they actually do well in the SEC? Yes. I think, if I said they're national, it's 2 different conversations. Yeah. I think they're good enough to win well in the SEC, but just overall team-wise, I'm picking Ole Miss over Missouri.
They got a really easy schedule, too.
Good as far as their talent and as far as their momentum. They got a quarterback, et cetera. So they won't be a pushover is essentially what I'm saying. Lane has the better team in Ole Miss.
Yeah, 8 starters on defense gone from last year's team that won 11 games for Missouri. Their schedule, though, guys, is as easy as it gets in the SEC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vandy. Their first 4 weeks of the season before they get a bye week. Then they go to Texas A&M, to UMass. Make that one make sense for me. Why is Missouri playing at UMass?
What?
They get Auburn at home. They go to Alabama. Tough game, obviously.
Sure.
Another bye week. Oklahoma at home, at South Carolina, at Mississippi State, home to Arkansas.
Oh, my God.
There's probably 10 wins on that schedule.
Yeah, that's 10.
For an SEC schedule, I think that's about as easy as it gets.
That's 10.
Wow.
Yep. To UMass. Interesting. No, I think it's a good point. They'll be good. I don't think they'll be national title contenders, but they should be in the playoff with that schedule.
And then they'll just get whooped in the playoff by the time they get there.
I don't know if they will.
I know. I'm
Honestly.
just saying, I don't know if that benefits them from playing that type of schedule, honestly.
Couple of transfers in. Marcus Carroll and Nate Noel will be the Cody Schrader this year for Missouri. Let's go to Joe up next. 615-737-1045. What's up, Joe?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
What's up, Joe?
Good morning.
Good morning. I got a question about Titans. I know you guys are talking about SEC, and I apologize.
You're good.
Is Devondre Sweat gonna be on the field for training camp? That's my question.
I think that's the $1 million question,
Let me
Joe.
shake this 8 ball.
I would assume
yes.
I would assume.
I think he's there
I
day
hope
one.
so.
That is a question we will ask Jeffery Simmons at 9:20 as well this morning. Is what have you seen from Devondre, and do you want to tell us what his injury is? Because Titans will. I kid on that one, but that is the question of training camp. Is Devondre watch?
And I think from all that we've gathered from OTAs and mandatory minicamp, I think keeping him off the field was probably strategic too, with making sure he was 100% ready to be back and healthy if that were the case with some sort of injury for training camp.
Yep.
I think I would say I'm pretty confident he'll be back.
I'm with you.
So Jeffery Simmons got people talking last week, including our own Buck Rising, with a tweet after Jamal Adams was officially signed by the Titans that reads, "I've just be seeing a lot of tweets and hit that bookmark. How do some of you guys cover us but hate us so much?" In reply to another fan, Jeffrey says, "I mean, they be at every game, home and away, all in the locker room, smiling and trying to make friends with the guys, but get on here and hit a 360. We will ask Jeffery Simmons about this at 9:20. I'm curious how many tweets he has bookmarked and if he wants to share what they said when Jeff joins us at 9:20 this morning. But I want to start with the player perspective on this because we are one of the few shows in town that has a former NFL player on our show, of course, and our 11-year NFL veteran, Ramon Foster. How often would you use negative media coverage to motivate you in your career?
You do it often. You got to think about this. You're throwing your body on the line. You're playing for a team, and yes, you are being compensated, but the health, I guess blowback that you can have from the injuries you take, the sacrifice of your body, your family, your mind, your entire just setup of your life revolves around this team. So when somebody does come and attack it, you do take it personal because I'm giving my all for this. I'm working hard. Jeff is one of those big name guys that is, like Buck said in his monologue that he had last week, he is the face of this franchise right now. As far as the most prestige, the most power, and everything. So he does have to be the voice of reason with this. The issue that I hear coming out of Big Jeff mouth is this. Well, in his tweets is this. You guys come into the locker room. You get us to unlock, drop our guard. You ask us questions and befriend us. And next thing you know, you'll write something negative quicker than you do positively. The thing that I didn't like about the Jamal Adams reaction last week was everybody blindly went, ugh. Don't like it. This sucks. This makes no sense. When in all actuality, nobody knows if he's healthy. If he is healthy, nobody knew the price tag of what he was signed for. And nobody knows how those guys inside that building vouch for him to be a part of the team because of the role that he may have to play for the Tennessee Titans. I do agree with Big Jeff on this one. I thought the reaction on the signing of Jamal Adams was, I thought, somewhat unprofessional. I thought it was somewhat premature. And I thought it was somewhat just not well thought of when you don't know what Denard Wilson's going to do as a DC, how Jamal Adams looked as a safety, and the role that he was going to play. I do think it's easier to go negative than it is to go positive. Because if you go positive, then guess what? The people that you work around, oh, you're just state-run radio. Or you cheerlead for the team. I do think if you're telling the truth on as far as the film, how they play, the record, you can't deny that whatsoever. But you got to understand the guys in those buildings in that room look at every warm body that's willing to compete as their brother. So if your immediate reaction is to just crash out on them and just trash them, then yes, I would somewhat take that to heart more than anything because, again, those same people that said they didn't like him or the signing wasn't good, they will be in the locker room to ask for an interview or to befriend him. And I do think that's somewhat snaky.
This is really a complicated one, guys, being a media member for 20 plus years and being in a lot of locker rooms. Everybody in the media goes about their business in a different way. Everybody is an individual in the way they choose to cover a team. And they have a right to choose the way they cover that team. I am very different from the way Buck Rising covers a team. Buck is different from how somebody else covers a team, right? We all have the ways that we are true to ourselves and how we cover these teams and how we cover these individuals. With this specific situation, I think it's hard sometimes because players, just like we have emotions, players have emotions when they see something pop up on a timeline. And we all know how X works these days. They just pop things up on your timelines and half the stuff you don't even know where it's coming from, right? And I'm sure Big Jeff goes on his timeline, Jeffery Simmons goes on his timeline immediately as the signing happens. And maybe he has stuff tailored to it that's popping up that he's seeing a lot of negative stuff. And I don't know who the hell he saw that maybe lit his fire a little. But in that moment, I think for Jeffery Simmons, it was like, all right, let's go. We've added a piece to this defense. You know, I'm sure Jeffery Simmons knows a little bit more about how they're going to run this defense than we do right now as media members and as fans. I think he probably has a little bit more of an inside source of how things are going to go. And he probably was fired up about the signing. And the more and more we realize what the signing was and the non-risk that really went into it, I think he, at the time, was excited, but then goes online and he sees all these opinions, and he probably sees those opinions of some of us who cover the team. And maybe that emotionally set him off, and Jeff's an emotional guy. I've seen it many times with Jeff. That's how he plays. That's how he is as a person. Like, that's what you love about Big Jeff, right? So for him, he probably was a little bit emotional in that situation and went online and kind of was like frustrated, because I get it. There are people who go in there and they'll write stuff about the team, which rightfully so, they can say what they want, but then go in the room sometimes and it's, we want to look good. We want to connect with these players. And so the smiles on the face, trying to chat it up. So I get both sides. Mm-hmm. And, media members who cover this team for the most part, unless you work for the team, you have to have your own opinions. And that's how a lot of these entities are expected to work. I mean, you have to cover the team fairly. So I think it's a difficult situation to break down, but I think there's good points on both sides of this whole thing.
Ramon, would you seek out negative stuff? I know Blaine has talked a lot about this, Blaine Bishop, that he would have to create things in his mind in the moment to get mad enough to go hit somebody. Like you would make yourself angry when you flip that switch in some way and go back into your mind to find whatever you could. I think you've got an interesting perspective on this, considering you have played in the social media era. Yeah. Is this something you would seek out, or is it something that just happens to pop up on your feed every now and then?
I wouldn't seek it out. And specifically from the fans' perspective, like if a fan says something, you guys suck, this and that, like, no, I wouldn't. It didn't matter to me. I actually enjoyed that type of stuff to an extent. Like you mentioned, family is different, right? But as far as like the people that covered the team, I'd see something, but I never took it personal. I could separate the two, is what I'm saying. But I did look at those guys differently for the ones that either didn't come into the locker room or the ones that, like he was saying, they'll come in and smile and get you to unlock. I think that's the biggest thing behind it. The initial reaction to Jamal Adams when he got signed was just like, whoa, why are we doing this? You have, what's his name, still out there, Justin Simmons, still out there. There's this guy out there. Well, this is the guy that works for our team. He's been coached by Denard. And I think those are the differences right there. And those same people that said he's probably going to suck or he's not good for this team will come face to face with him and try to ask him for an interview or, hey, can I get your number? And that's where I think it sucks. That's Jeff's point, is he's probably seen numerous guys get bashed on social media platforms. And those same reporters come kiki and laugh in your face to try to befriend you. And that, to me, personally, man to man, I wouldn't want to do that. Nobody in this room would like for somebody to be talking behind their backs, bashing them professionally, and then act like they never said anything. Those are the things. So motivation from there, yes. If you say this team gave up 250 yards running, they sucked, I don't think nobody can push back on that. That's facts. If you're telling the story exactly as it happened, is one thing. Nobody knows what Jamal Adams is going to be. All we do know is when he's healthy, he's good.
Right.
Coverage is an issue, but if they're not, we don't know what Denard's going to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what if he doesn't? What if he's not a coverage guy in this defense?
Well, and for the price they got Jamal Adams for, what if they still signed Justin Simmons?
And that's the whole thing. I think there's still so much to be made of this situation still that it's hard for us to have a conclusion yet on it. But what I will say is, in the moment, and it seemed to be so much of this was in the moment when I think Buck Show learned about it live on air of the signing. That's when a lot of, at least you're learning about it in the moment, right? I'll even be the first to admit, maybe I would have said, I don't love it, right? Because in that moment, maybe you didn't have time to think about it. You didn't know, hey, it was a pretty cheap deal. You didn't think about, hey, he's going to probably be used in specific ways in Denard. But those are all things, hey, we live and learn too.
That's what
makes
sucks,
us better to live and learn from those situations.
But that's what sucks though too, is you're prejudged because of something in your past or because of injuries. That to me, I think is probably one of the worst things that we do in today's social media journalism. Is everybody gives an immediate reaction because they want those clicks and impressions. And I think that is trash.
It's the way you give a reaction. You are entitled to your own opinion. Absolutely. You are absolutely entitled to your own opinion. It's the way you present your opinion. And that's the problem that we see on social media. There's no presenting when it's words, right? Just typed on a page. And I don't know, maybe it was, I was listening a little bit to Buck's show that day, so I didn't hear exactly him talking about the signing over the air, but I think it's the way things are presented sometimes that come across as it's not received well. Sometimes you can have your opinion, but just put it in a way that it can be received well.
I think where Jeffery Simmons messed up is using the word hate.
Yeah.
Because I think he inherently made the argument personal. I don't think anybody hates Titans players personally that's covering this team. That's where I think Jeff used a little bit of a hyperbole that undermines his argument a little bit. Nobody's trying to take personal shots. If they are, then okay, we'll call that out once we get there. And again, we will ask Jeff at 9:20 what he particularly saw and see if he's willing to answer and tell us. But he says, how do so many of you guys cover us but hate us so much? It's not media's job to always just tell the positive stories. There have been more negative than positive stories to tell out of that locker room. It's the reason why there's a coaching change.
Well, and that was my point. I was talking to somebody that I have conversations with often about that makeup right there. I was like, the issue is with this squad and just how it's covered here with the Titans is there hasn't been a lot of highs that actually had the payoff. There haven't been a lot of players as of late that's giving you the payoff that you want. We're just not getting to the point to where we were able to just let go of Derek, right? Those are the things that we've dealt with. This team's identity has been based on personalities more than the actual team. So as it boils down to you bringing in more personalities, like a Jamal Adams, right? Like a 30-year-old Calvin Ridley, like a Cheeto, right? Like the L'Jarius Sneed, who we can't figure out, all right, does he have a knee injury or not? Mm-hmm. I think it's conditioned, this media here, to cover it more first negative than it is positive.
Right. Blaine Bishop, too, he actually reached out to, and just so it's clear on what I said about that, he mentioned that he was seeking quotes from players, not media.
Okay.
Which is correct. And I think it's really cool when Blaine can kind of go inside his mindset with that, is that he would try to manufacture that extra energy against the guy across from him. And that's why I asked you about it, too, of like, I like going inside the player's mindset of, do you try to go look for negative media coverage? Do you try to look at who the prom date was in high school of the guy you're matched up against? Like, are you trying to, how do you play that mental warfare battle against guys? Because I think everybody has a different way to do it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But for me, I didn't pay attention to it because I played O-line. Everything we received was going to be negative. So it's different for me. Blaine could dictate more, I feel like, with his ability to go attack.
It's a fun position to be attacking it.
Great attacking position, right? Shout out to Blaine for that, man.
Absolutely.
But I understand where Jeff is coming from. I do. Again, I'm not attacking the local media here, but I think because it's been so much bad and not enough good happening, that it's easier to write, another failed guy or another guy coming here to get a payday. And you as a teammate of these people, like, you got to understand the friends, number one, they need them, number two, as far as the playmaking ability on the field. And again, there's so much newness, at least in this year, on the Jamal Adams signing, that nobody knows what it's actually going to look like. There's rumors that they're still in the market for one or two other guys at safety. Right. So if it comes together and Jamal Adams is able to get 6 sacks, 2 interceptions this year, do you still have that same reaction of, because here's the thing about it. Nobody ever comes back in media and say, man, on July 12th, I was wrong.
I mean, I don't know. We've said it on this show.
I know, but the majority doesn't, and that's the problem right there. If you want to build a bridge with a player, with an athlete, honesty is number one. That's how you get them to unlock. And the moment you get me to unlock, please don't cross that bridge again. Please don't burn that bridge is what I mean. Because if I hear something about me personally, then you're dead to me. And not in the sense that, hey, Ramon, you missed 3 blocks, man. You gave up 3 sacks this week. I can live with that. But to immediately judge me on something you've never seen me do this year, I think is hyper unfair. The same way that a lot of folks probably thought D-Hop was cooked, right? Those same people have not doubled back and said, hey, I was wrong. D-Hop is doing it 30-plus right now. It's the same people that bring up the age thing for Calvin.
I think Titans media coverage is among the most positive of any market in the NFL. And I will give the media here credit that I think you have got nuanced people within digital media who are doing different things. Nashville is a young media market in a lot of ways. It is a forward-thinking media market. I mean, to give a shout-out to ESPN's Teron Davenport, he's breaking down film. He's doing whiteboard stuff. that I think goes beyond what ESPN beat writers are typically doing in a lot of markets. So credit to Tehran on that, and I think he is as good as there is. And there are many others that I won't name who are excellent, but I will also never blame a player for trying to get an extra edge and for trying to motivate themselves a little bit more. And I think we as media can't be taking something like that personally. It just is what it is. I think both sides have points. I think both sides there are negatives. I think it's a nuanced discussion that is a complicated one.
It's complicated.
We'll continue it on the other side. Your reaction, 615-737-1045, plus a development in college football recruiting over the weekend that is not good news for Vols fans. We've got that for you next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. I'd like to tell you about my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. Do you have hearing loss? Maybe you're wearing hearing aids, but you don't want to wear them around water. You're in the pool. You're at the lake. Maybe you're headed to the beach. You're in the ocean. Well, Brentwood Hearing Center has the solution for you. Hearing devices that are waterproof. That's right. Hearing aid wearers can now enjoy being around water while wearing their hearing aids, enjoying all those sounds of friends and family. You can be in the pool and still hear the conversation happening right beside you. The Phonak Lumity Life. That is the world's only hearing aid that is completely waterproof, and one of my family members even has them. At Brentwood Hearing Center, you go there, you get hooked up, you get checked out, and they're going to take care of you with the latest technology just like this. 615-377-0420 to learn more about this great technology, or visit Brentwood Hearing Center online at brentwoodhearingcenter.com. That's 615-377-0420. Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. Wrapping up the first half of your Monday morning. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 1045 The Zone. If you want to give your take on Titans media coverage, whether it's too negative or too positive, 615-737-1045 is your place to make your voice heard. Guys, Kayla DeBoer and Alabama are on fire on the recruiting trail. Talking about things that we did not expect and things where we will admit we were wrong. I don't think anybody in college football media expected Alabama at this point in the post-Nick Saban era to have the number one recruiting class in college football. That is what they have. As Ty Haywood, the number 7 player in the country, the number 3 tackle in the country, commits to the Crimson Tide over the weekend. Of the 22 total commits that Alabama has, 15 of them are ranked inside the top 200 in the On3 industry ranking, and 5 of them are 5 stars. That is the most in college football.
Crazy.
Wow.
I think we got a problem on our hands, folks.
18 4- and 5-star players, if the list I'm looking at is correct. With the average score, here's the other thing, too, as far as talent. Their net overall rating is a 94.3. Ohio State is at number 2 is a 94.31. So Alabama got them by 2 100s after that, man. I didn't give you the rest of Alabama. It's a 94.33. But just overall, they're crushing it, killing it. Again, the ghost of Nick Saban is still alive and well down there, and recruiting is good.
He didn't die.
No, I know he didn't die, but his coaching, his coaching did. His coaching went away to die, man. But Bama cleaned up. They cleaned up well. I'm not sure what else they have up their sleeve as far as the rest of the recruiting goes, but they've checked every single box as far as position. They've got quarterbacks. They've got linemen. They got defensive players. They got every single thing you need in this class, man. 4, if not 5 stars on this squad right now. Solid. Get by them.
I think this is a still, kind of living in the shadows of Nick Saban right now, because that's just how much he did for this program. And at such a consistent level, it is hard to just erase that in a matter of a year. So I think part of this is still just the, Alabama way. And I think Kalen DeBoer now has probably one of the craziest positions as a head coach in the country with the pressure that he is going to now deal with, because yes, you are getting these top recruits, but can you actually do something with them? And it's not the first time where we've questioned this. When we saw Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M and he was cleaning house, and what the hell came out of that except for an absolute mess and a firing of Jimbo Fisher. So let's pump our brakes a little bit in this situation. Kalen DeBoer, yes, he took a Washington team to the national championship last year. Did he win it? No, but he did a very good job of, developing players. But it was a short sample size, and it was in a much less, competitive conference. And so this is day in and day out, blood, sweat, and tears when it comes to the SEC. So I think he can do it. I'm not saying he can't, but let's just maybe pump the brakes a little bit, because I do think there's still some momentum coming from just Alabama and Saban.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he's won everywhere he's been. It is wild. His head coaching record is 104-12.
That's pretty impressive.
In his career.
Impressive.
Kalen DeBoer is a winner. And I'm interested to see how much of this class hangs on if and when Bama does slip this season. That being said, though, their roster is still Saban level. Like this is still going to be Alabama this season. The question is, how much more difficult is it to navigate one of the more difficult schedules in all of college football? They start with Western Kentucky. They get Alex Golesh and USF in a home and home. USF, by the way, a sneaky pick to be the G5 representative in the college football playoff. Brad Crawford of 247 Sports has been on that train for a while. He's going to join us at 8:20 this morning. At Wisconsin, week 3 is tricky. Then they get a bye week before hosting Georgia. They get a home game at Vandy. They get South Carolina in Tuscaloosa. They go to Tennessee. They get Missouri at home. So that stretch of 5 games is challenging. They get a bye week before they go to Baton Rouge. They get the Mercer Bears, shout out Macon, Georgia, November 16th at Oklahoma, and then the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa.
They get buys before Georgia and LSU.
Yes, they do.
Get the hell out of here.
Must be nice, right?
Get out of here.
Had a top 5 defense last season. 5 defenders were all SEC last year. Both starting safeties are gone. They are definitely thinner at corner. But Jalen Milroe is a legitimate Heisman candidate at quarterback. And you've got a lot of talented offensive minds with Kalen DeBoer and his guy Nick Sheridan.
And they took Caden Proctor back, too.
Right, yeah, they did. I'm interested to see Jalen Milroe under Kalen DeBoer, and if they can get him to be a consistent quarterback, if they can get him to continue to grow instead of going back and forth in terms of up and down.
Right.
You know?
Right.
615-737-1045. Hour 3 is next. ESPN showed the Titans a little bit of love, including one player that might surprise you a bit. We've got that for you as Hour 3 begins next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Wesley Mortgage, man. Their website is whywesley.com. WHYWESLEY.com, all right? And it starts with the owner, Chuck McDowell, who's a local Nashville native, man. He cares about this community and always proud to serve it. Chuck reinvests in the people and the place that make Nashville such a wonderful place. While other mortgage companies are downsizing, Chuck McDowell and the Wesley Mortgage team, they are rapidly expanding in Nashville, keeping people working in a career that they love, and they love to have you join their team. Chuck and the leadership team at Wesley Mortgage have a support system in place to help you succeed in the mortgage business, ensuring your loans close on time, making sure you get paid, and giving you back the time to build your business and bring back the fun to the mortgage profession. With unique networking opportunities with the Tennessee Titans and the Music City Grand Prix, they are making closing deals and building relationships fun again. So, if you're in the mortgage industry and you're tired of the grind, tired of the pressure, and just tired of micromanaging everything to make sure your clients get handled correctly, then you owe it to yourself to go to whywesley.com.
8:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Major League Draft got started yesterday, and the Tennessee Volunteers cleaned up, leading all schools with players drafted on night one with 4. Christian Moore went 8th overall to the Angels. Blake Burke, 34th overall to the Brewers. Billy Amick, 60th overall to the Twins. And Dylan Dreiling to the Rangers at 65. SEC Media Day starts today. 3HL is going to be live from Dallas, keeping you up to date on all the happenings. Today, you'll get to hear from Commissioner Greg Sankey, Brian Kelly, Shane Beamer, Lane Kiffin, and Clark Lee. In the NFL, Ian Rappaport reporting T. Higgins and the Bengals will not come to a new contract agreement by the deadline today, meaning Higgins will play on the franchise tag for the 2024 season. He officially signed his franchise tag on June 17th. And in case you missed it, Titans defensive lineman Jeffery Simmons is going to join the show at 9:20. If you can't be in the car or listen to that interview, you can check it out immediately following the show wherever you get your podcast. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 3, 8 a.m. in beautiful Music City, USA. Welcome into a hot and fresh hour of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. I almost said hot and fresh out the kitchen, and then I remembered who actually said that lyric.
Dang.
Trying to stay out of trouble this morning. Jeffery Simmons joining us at 9:20 in hour number 4. Brad Crawford of 247 Sports, one of our favorites talking college football, will stop by coming up in 20 minutes. Your phone calls throughout the morning at 615-737-1045. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Will Bowling, streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch.
Twitch, please.
And again, if you are looking for the show live on Twitter, it is not there.
Go
because
talk to
Elon Musk now requires you to have a blue check mark in order to live stream on Twitter. And quite frankly, I think we just go to YouTube moving forward. So that's where we are.
We ain't paying.
You can find us there.
We ain't paying the $5.
Do you guys think Brad Crawford's going to play the new college football video game?
100%.
Yes.
I think he's tweeted about this before. Maybe he wants to join my 30-person online dynasty that begins, I think, later this week. I don't think everyone has the early access who's in my league.
I need to know who his inferior team is.
Sure.
Who is your crappy team that you're going to bring to prominence?
I have a guess, considering where he is located. I think it's Coastal Carolina.
Okay.
If I had to guess.
Fun school to
You know,
go.
he's a South Carolina guy.
Yeah.
From that direction. Maybe it's ECU, bro.
I was going to. Uh-oh.
Or Charlotte.
I hope it's not ECU.
The Niners.
It could be
I'm
Charlotte.
all down
Charlotte.
for if people want to glom on to ECU, you can glom right on. ECU or Charlotte actually had a cool little tradition too. They used to have a club whatever their place was called. But after the Charlotte wins games, they would go in their locker room and their coach would put the mascot head on. They would put the strobe lights on and they would have like a club in their locker room.
Former Austin Peay head coach Will Healy.
Mm-hmm.
Will Healy, that was his name. There you go.
Healy.
That's right.
Where is he now, by the way?
Club Lit was what it was
Club
called.
Lit.
He is an assistant somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
3HL was actually talking about this last week. He is at UCF with Gus Malzahn.
Great guy, too.
Okay.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's at Georgia State, running backs coach at Georgia State. He will get another big opportunity again. He was outstanding at Austin Peay. Yeah.
So good.
For sure.
He was at one time the youngest coach in college football, wasn't he?
That's correct.
Yeah.
He was what in college football? I wasn't listening to
The
Bert.
youngest coach in college football. He's from Chattanooga also, Will Healy.
Chat Town, baby.
Nice. Boyd Buchanan High School.
Boy, Buchanan. All right, then.
He also, Ramon Foster, played quarterback in college for Richmond. You know who the head coach of Richmond was when he was there?
Yeah, it's Dave Close.
Yeah, you do.
Spiders.
I do know
Spiders.
that. The Spiders.
That's right.
The Spider's face.
615-737-1045. That's how you get how you get Ramon to shut down for a segment. No, that's not true.
No, not for a second.
Honorable mention, ESPN.com ranking the top interior offensive lineman in football, Lloyd Cushenberry. Right on the outside looking in on this list. 95% pass block win rate last season. One NFL coordinator says about Lloyd Cushenberry, athletic, versatile. He will give Tennessee flexibility up front.
Yeah, nice. Buddy. One thing I do like about his analysis of how people break him down as of late has been the number one thing has been pass protection.
Yeah,
he's supposedly really good at that. I want to see his tape, and of course the run game comes with it. I mean, for him, he'll always be in a combination block setting at center. His guard's going to have to do a really good job with him. But the fact that he's a well-known pass protector is so good for Will Levis because again, a lot of teams I think now will start attacking up the middle, and they have a stud or thick center. I think it's probably one of the best things they could have did this offseason cycle. If all things count as far as him being healthy, understand the playbook, and Will Levis is above board in his delivery too. And I don't know if you got to it yet, but I think the young fella made a vote or two too.
Also receiving votes was Peter Skoronski. Despite giving up 5 sacks last season, Peter Skoronski.
Can I be real about that too?
You may.
Absolutely. So here's the thing about that one. This is why it's important for him to hit because now you got a name. Like, he got votes because of him being a first rounder.
100%.
Okay? And that ain't no knock. That's just the way it goes with how you look at this. He's a first rounder. And I think he did some good things last year, but to be receiving votes, he wasn't in honorable mentions or anything like that. It's just that we know he's an interior guy. And he should be good moving forward. So if you got Lloyd and you got him and whatever happened at the tackles positions, I mean, you got 2 studs up the middle now that can somewhat build yourself inside out.
Yeah.
But that's the first round, the tip of the cap right there, I thought more than anything from him.
And that's fine. I mean, it's better than not getting a tip of the cap and then, maybe saying, hey, well, but by the way, I mean, the right side or the left side starting to look good. And you had a Peter Skoronski that maybe even he had a little bit of a setback last year because of the appendectomy, and that does not help at all when he didn't have his pounds on. And he said during OTAs and mandatory minicamp, I can't remember which one, mandatory, that he felt so much more back to himself because he was able to add those pounds back on. And I can't imagine being a lineman, even a few pounds that you don't have on, it probably can make a difference. But you spoke about building from the inside out, and that's what I think is just so great for this line this year to have a guy like Lloyd Cushenberry. Look, I'll say it. Aaron Brewer's fine, whatever. Like, he's in Miami now. Have fun with Tua. But when it comes to Lloyd Cushenberry, like, that is an upgrade. That is a serious upgrade. Yeah. And we're not talking about a $2 steak anymore. We're talking about a filet mignon, like whatever you want to call it, your favorite steak. This is a guy who has not only been consistent, not only been available, but he's gotten better throughout his career. And so I think that's such a bright spot for this Titans team. And we talked about maybe the most underrated ad, and his name has been brought up a lot of times because now at least you look at that ad, you look at Peter Skoronski, probably going to be able to build on last year. Yeah. And what we've seen from J.C. Latham, yes, potential, we say a lot, but at least that left side looks like it could be really solid.
Yeah, it does. But good on the Titans having 2 guys in that conversation. They go out and have a above 500 year, beat some teams, run the ball well, and protect Levis. I think they have the potential to be higher. Especially, I go with I'd honestly leapfrog them. I think Peter Skoronski will probably end up leapfrogging Lloyd Cushenberry just on the basis that he ain't got to snap the ball and he can just go beat people up.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of concert news this morning. You guys see the breaking news out of Knoxville?
Did see that. The young fella.
September 22nd, Morgan Wallen in Neyland Stadium.
Wow.
Regardless of your opinion on Morgan Wallen, if there's one place where I think people would sign up to see a Morgan Wallen show, it is in Knoxville, in Neyland Stadium. Honestly, I would go to any concert of anyone in Neyland Stadium because rarely are you going to get a 100,000 or maybe 80,000 person concert.
Right.
Yeah.
Outside.
I'm talking to my people. My guys.
Who's all going to be there? Tony V will be on stage.
Yeah. Peyton Manning will definitely be on stage at some point.
Yeah.
Ramon Foster?
I wonder if...
I'll be working. I'll be working.
I wonder if Kenny Chesney makes an appearance at that one.
Oh, maybe.
Gibbs High School Zone.
Yeah.
Is he still doing a stadium series too?
He is. He is still touring with Megan Maroney right now, actually.
That's a Thursday night concert, by the way.
September 22nd is a Sunday.
22nd. I thought you said the 12th. It is a
So
Sunday.
you could get a private jet and you could just fly after the
I do not have the
Titans
facilities for that.
I do not have the facility. I do, but I refuse to pay for it. I refuse to pay for
I
it.
just don't have the facilities. Yeah, that is after Titans Packers.
So Kenny
And Man City
Chesney's stadium tour ends August 25th. So he should
So
be
he
available.
might be there. Okay. I can see it.
We'll see. There are a lot of people in music who are not the biggest Morgan fans. That's fine. To each their own. He has done plenty to lose the fandom of many, and I don't blame anyone for feeling that way. But I think all the chairs are bolted down in Neyland, so we should be good on that front.
Decisions got to be made, though, because the Titans play Green Bay here at 12 o'clock that day.
They do.
Oh, you can double up.
Yeah, absolutely. You can.
You can double up. Easy. Take that Monday off.
In college, I would have chapter meetings at 7 o'clock on Sunday nights. I was still here for every home game. Senior year. Just
really?
zip it down I-40 afterwards. I cut it
Dedication.
close once, but I would make the trip every weekend. So we'll see. Jesse on YouTube says, hope he doesn't cancel it. Yeah, that did happen again over the
Seriously.
weekend.
He did cancel
he
in
has an
Tampa again.
issue with that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, good.
What, is he getting too drunk the night before? Or
He said
something?
he was sick.
Said it was his voice was gone, yeah.
Sick, you know what?
He was on the injury report, Kayla. Come on, man.
He was questionable. He was ruled out
Man couldn't play football. That's all
at
I'm
Friday's
saying.
walkthrough. Yeah.
Hey,
Soft.
but they call athletes soft for having an ankle, and Messi actually had a balloon
But a lot of
ankle
those
last
guys,
night.
they have to pull him off the field to not perform,
Love this type
including
of stuff.
Big Jeff, who will be on the show at 9:20.
Love it.
But coming up next, 247 Sports is Brad Crawford. He is in Dallas for SEC Media Days. We'll talk some SEC football with him coming up next. Talking a little bit of SEC football in hour number 3 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Joined from the Low Stars State, the SEC city of Dallas, Texas. He is Brad Crawford of 247 Sports. Brad, I think the last time we were talking SEC football at SEC Media Days with you, you were just right across the table from us here in Nashville. What does it look like in Dallas so far this morning?
It's another busy morning, man. Actually, the sun is coming in the windows here on Media Row, and it's blinding everyone this morning. So
nice.
kind of interesting setup, man. But it's a lot of hype. Maybe not quite as much as Nashville, honestly. You know, I haven't seen any fans downstairs in the lobby waiting on these coaches for autographs. But exciting week ahead, and College Football 25 drops today. So y'all know where I'll be in my hotel room at 4 o'clock.
Brad, that was my next question was, did you bring the system with you? And clearly you already answered that.
So, yeah, a friend of mine has it all set up on the big screen. And y'all's producer actually asked me which D5 am I going to take to the show. And I'm East Carolina's going to be my turnaround program this season in that game. Yep.
Okay. I love it.
He was pretty geeked out, our producer Bert back
He
there.
told us as the music was starting of like, he's choosing ECU.
Yeah.
He's taking us to the he's taking
Awesome
us to the
uniforms,
dance.
Man. Yeah.
I love it. Brad Crawford, 247 Sports with us. Greg Sankey meeting with the media in addition to Ole Miss, LSU, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. What's the most interesting thing you hope to hear today, Brad, from Greg Sankey as he meets with the media?
Oh, man, I would like to see if a media member asks him, for an update on the Florida State Clemson situation and how much, he pleads the fifth or says that, we're still open for business the way Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark said last week. I mean, it sounds like that if the SEC is interested in one of those two programs, the Big 12's trying to hop in and get them first. So, I don't think college football realignment is done. The SEC's power move with Texas OU here this week was, the first major domino, followed by the Big Ten grabbing several elite programs. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, man, if by the end of the week, Florida State and Clemson aren't in a new league.
Brad Crawford, 247 Sports, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brad, are you buying the Ole Miss hype, and how do you think Lane Kiffin will handle the rat poison that is likely coming his way today as he makes the rounds?
Yeah, I got crucified way back in January for putting Ole Miss number 3 in my way extremely hella too early poll. And, I still feel very strongly about Ole Miss, man. It's a great 2 deep. I mean, you have booster support, NIL, above anything that was ever expected in Oxford. They went out and got Walter Nolan. They got Princely, the edge from Florida. They got Juice Wells from South Carolina, paying him more than the Gamecocks would. I can tell you that. So it's a very good roster. Jackson Dart, I think, is an elite quarterback. And after an 11-win season and beating Penn State and Atlanta, man, the hype is real in Ole Miss. And I think anything short of a playoff berth is probably a disappointment.
No doubt about it. Brad Crawford's with us this morning, 247 Sports. Brad, out of South Carolina, man, there's a lot of recruits coming out, and Shane Beamer has held on to some but lost a good bit of them out of the state, man. What is his outlook on this season and just his time also with South Carolina moving forward?
Yeah, there's been some murmurs nationally about, Beamer being on the possible hot seat by the end of the year. I don't really see that yet. No booster or BOT member or even Ray Tanner, the AD, has said anything negative about Shane Beamer, even despite, going 5-7 last year. Now, I do think if the Gamecocks miss the postseason again with this tough schedule, there might be some heat in 2025. But, Beamer's not on a hot seat yet. And obviously, Lenora Sellers is kind of the future of the program. He's the new first-year starting quarterback, redshirted behind Spencer Rattler last year. Kind of disappointed that Lenoris is not here in Dallas today. Won't talk to him, but I think it'll be very interesting that, the Gamecocks changed their entire offense basically with Lenora Sellers and Rocket Sanders, Arkansas former running back. So they're going back to that zone read look that they were really good at here a couple of years ago.
Brad Crawford with us this morning. Brad, also, what does Texas and OU mean to other schools in the SEC already. And what I mean by that is the teams that are, just on the edge of either breaking through or find themselves at the bottom. And I say that because you got Vandy that's got to figure it out. You mentioned South Carolina right now. You're Kentucky's. Like, the recruiting hasn't gotten easy. Heck, some would even say you can throw Tennessee in there. What I'm saying is those teams that are right in the middle of trying to push through and become relevant and stay relevant and win, you got two teams with big old banks and OU and Texas coming in. What does that mean for these coaches of these programs? And I'll specifically go Vandy because I just don't see how they're going to crawl out of it, considering Clark Lee's there for, SEC Media Days today.
I totally agree with you, Ramon. I mean, it's take the losses, take the check for the mid-tier to the bottom tier of the SEC, especially when you add two blue bloods like OU and Texas to the schedule every year. I mean, you look at South Carolina, depending on how this, future SEC scheduling and Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, schools like that, depending on how this future scheduling shakes out, I mean, you're going to probably add OU or Texas to your annual schedule. And those programs, simply put, man, are just going to always recruit better than you if you're at one of those mid-tier to lower ends, just because of the money, man. The booster support and NIL at Texas and OU is really high right now. I mean, we saw Oklahoma actually outbid LSU for Dominique Williams, the TCU defensive tackle. So, I mean, we're already seeing OU and Brent Venables kind of strong arm one of the SEC's blue bloods in LSU. So I think it strengthens the league as a whole. Certainly you're going to have more of a playoff presence with the Longhorns and Sooners coming in. But, man, for those mid-tier programs, just trying to get to bowl season, it makes it that much tougher.
Brad Crawford, a good friend of 247 Sports, CBS Sports, joining us now on RKW. Brad, with Brian Kelly and LSU speaking today, what do you want to get out of that conversation? Specifically, I know he's brought up the NIL before, is tried to push back on that a little. Do we believe that?
I think Brian Kelly has to kind of scale back some of those. We're not going to outbid others in the portal for some of these guys because, I mean, sorry, you have to do that in new age college football. I mean, we have schools hiring football staffers now that are solely in charge of like roster budgets and how much you're paying certain positions. So obviously, it's a huge part of Brian Kelly's job, to make sure LSU can afford some of these guys. I want to hear Brian Kelly this week assure the media that his defense is going to be better. One of the reasons I don't have LSU in my projected preseason 12-team playoff is because I'm not sold on the defensive personnel, outside of Harold Perkins. He's probably a first-team All-American. Outside of him, they have a lot of guys in the secondary that probably wouldn't start at other SEC programs at the elite level. So LSU has to be better defensively. They're going to be okay on offense despite losing, 3 first-rounders. But I don't think that they want to get into shootout mode this year like they had to last season.
Brad, we all know this question is coming to Kirby Smart later on in the week, but I mean, at what point do they send this up to the president with the driving situations with players? I mean, how much do you think questions will be centered at Kirby Smart, specifically with the issues they're dealing with off the field?
Yeah, I hope he gets peppered, later this week about this stuff. I mean, not only are players and their families' lives in danger, but you have just other people on the road. I mean, what if my family was hit by a college football player who was racing? It's just stuff that is pretty much unacceptable. I mean, I tweeted a few days ago when I think that they had the 4th arrest this summer for racing that, I mean, this should be a automatic suspension, dismissed from the team. But college football is all about money and winning right now, and it seems like the lives of others are placed secondary. So, I mean, I think Kirby Smart needs to really strong arm this and come out and meet it at the head and, say there are changes taking place because, I mean, right now, last couple of off seasons, Georgia's been an embarrassment off the field.
Brad Crawford at BCrawford247, where you follow him talking SEC football on Twitter, 247 sports writer who joins us this morning from Dallas. Brad, how much hype do you think is legit around Nico Iamaleava? You wrote last season that Tennessee was maybe more confident in him than people thought if they needed to go to him. Now is the time where we really do get to see him. How confident are you in his ability?
Yeah, I'll give you a little preview, man. I plan on writing a feature later this week on Tennessee being the most underrated SEC team coming out of Dallas, because, I mean, they have a roster, I think, that's capable of getting to the playoff this season, but Tennessee hasn't been mentioned among those, top 5 SEC playoff hopefuls throughout the offseason for whatever reason. I think Nico's a big reason for that. I saw him dissect arguably college football's best defense in January down in Orlando. I mean, it was a very good performance, maybe kind of vanilla, but, I mean, he went around the field, spread it around, and really orchestrated Josh Heupel's offense. I think Tennessee staff's really excited about him. They go probably 5 deep at wide receiver. They're really good there. They got the Tulane guy out of the portal, very good at tight end. So, I mean, really my only question for Tennessee is, you look at the schedule, and I kind of break it into 2 halves. NC State and Oklahoma in September, they've got to do what they can to win both those games to kind of be in that top 10 mix. So, and then, of course, Bama, Georgia at the back end of that schedule. So, there are spots for Tennessee to find success this season, but, I mean, as you mentioned, man, they're going to go as far as Nico takes them, and then that new look secondary. That's the only question I have is, will those 3 or 4 new starters at the back end be able to hang with some of these SEC top-end quarterbacks?
And Brad, it's interesting you mentioned Oklahoma because they're also making that move to a young, highly touted quarterback in Jackson Arnold. But while he may have the weapons to throw to, a lot more question marks about who's going to block for that guy than what Tennessee has. How much trouble do you think Oklahoma has protecting him this season, and how do you see them adjusting to life in the SEC?
That's a big issue for me. I think Texas versus OU, as far as which of those programs has the better first year, I just think Texas is better suited. The schedule sets up better. I mean, Oklahoma, outside of what Billy Napier is having to contend with at Florida, I mean, they have one of the toughest schedules in college football. So I think it'll be interesting to see, where Oklahoma's fan base kind of stands on Brent Venables if, they go 7-5 year one in the SEC, which at Oklahoma, one of the blue bloods, that's pretty unacceptable. So I'm just looking forward to kind of seeing that Texas OU game in Norman at the end of September and kind of seeing where those 2 programs, both top 15 preseason, in my opinion, will be at the end of the first month.
Brad, well, we see Alabama continue to make waves, man, and we talked about earlier, maybe the fumes left behind with Nick Saban because he's still on payroll down there, okay? With that being said, have you ever seen somebody accumulate this amount of talent and not win? Because, again, I don't know what Kalen DeBoer coach Alabama is going to look like, but because of the Jimmys and Joes that they've recruited, you got to be able to do something, right?
I was going to say it's looking pretty good right now with a couple of 5-star wideouts, offensive tackles. I mean, you pretty much got what you want. You got a quarterback of the future who just won Elite 11 in Keelan Russell. So if I'm a Bama fan right now, I'm feeling pretty good post Nick Saban. But as you mentioned, it's all about on the field. They play Wisconsin in September on the road. They have some tough games early. They host Georgia. So I'm kind of anxious to see if Bama's going to spit out the double-digit win seasons that we're used to seeing these last, decade plus, or is DeBoer going to struggle? I don't think he is, though. I mean, based on the roster that he's putting together already for 2025, I mean, if he lands a top 3 class, you can't ask for much more than that during his first full recruiting cycle.
So he won't Jimbo Fisher this thing, like I hope?
No, I don't think so. Jimbo ran Texas A&M on the ground. I mean, despite having pretty much the top signing class ever back in 2022.
Wild. Brad Crawford, our good friend at 247 Sports, joining us. He's got his pickleball socks on this week. I just saw that. So no sneakers, but you do have the socks on. So I thought that was a good look, first and foremost.
I'm a girl dad of 3 now. The funds are no longer there for sneakers, but I have been playing some pickleball. I'll tell you that.
I love that, Brad. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. That is the sport nowadays. When you think about a guy in terms of Eli Drinkwitz, just kind of the quirkiness that comes along with him. First of all, I'm guessing what kind of weird quote he puts out there this week. But in all seriousness, Brad, this is a pretty easy Missouri schedule this year.
It is.
What do you look at them at whole-wise as a team?
Yeah, I think Mizzou and Ole Miss have 2 of the most favorable schedules in the country. I think there's a little more pressure on Missouri because not only did Eli win 11 games last year, but he beat Ohio State in the bowl season, which that was a huge W for him. So if one of those 2 programs maybe falls back a bit, I think it would be Missouri. But, I mean, that Brady Cook, the Luther Burden connection might be the best quarterback wideout combo in the SEC. But, they lost, I think, 5 draft picks off defense, the entire secondary. They had some good portal guys. And then the 1,500-yard rusher, Cody Schrader, he's gone too. So there are some big personnel voids that I think Eli will try and address this week. And maybe some of those questions are going to be aimed at, how are you guys going to replicate last year's success?
He is Brad Crawford at 247 Sports and part-time coach of the virtual ECU Pirates, joining us this morning from Dallas, Texas. Brad, excellent stuff as always. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, y'all.
Thanks, Brad.
Yes, sir. There's Brad Crawford with us this morning here from Dallas.
I love Brad. He's great.
He is always good, man. 3 girls, 3-time champ,
girl
man.
dad, baby.
Goodness.
He's like, I can't afford the shoe fund anymore, so I just go play pickleball, right?
Yes,
I mean, that's the way to do it.
He's got some nice kicks, too, by the way.
Have you seen his?
Yeah, he's in it. He's in it deep.
Yeah, the shoe fund will be for the girls
exactly.
moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah, no, makeup and dresses and coffee time with that, tea time with that, 100%.
Interesting, though, as high on Tennessee as anybody out there, and tells us a minute ago, I plan on writing a feature later this week about Tennessee being the most underrated team in the SEC this year. They have a roster that can make the playoff. How many teams in the SEC have playoff caliber rosters?
Playoff caliber rosters? Bama, Georgia, LSU.
LSU?
No. Yeah, LSU. I got to throw them in there because
defensively,
reputation is getting me.
I don't think defensively they have a playoff caliber roster. I think they do offensively. They've got the best offensive lineman in college football.
5.
In Will Campbell.
5 teams is where you at.
Did you put Ole Miss in there?
I would absolutely.
Yeah.
So to me, I think there's a big 4 in the SEC this year, moving forward into the season, just from a roster perspective. Alabama. Go ahead.
Bama, Georgia.
Yep.
Ole Miss, Texas.
That's the big 4.
That's your big 4.
I would say
those 4 teams are playoff or bust. Mm-hmm. I think the big question is who's the 5th best team in the SEC right now? Between Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. I think A&M still has a good enough roster. Mike Elko did a good job in the portal. I think those 5 teams are in a 5-way race. Heck, even throw Kentucky in there.
Sure.
I think there are 6 teams that could feasibly finish the season 5th best in the SEC. You look at some polls, Auburn's even ranked.
Right.
Top 25 in some polls.
I don't really agree with, but I'll say with the difference in that, what could set that apart is exactly what Brad just talked about, Nico Iamaleava, right? And kind of, the roster is good, but if you're going to think about who could be the difference maker, it's got to be the quarterback in this situation.
It has to be. Of that last 4 or 5, you asked questions about who's got the better quarterback. Is it A&M and Nico?
It's Tennessee.
Yeah.
And that.
And I mean, to be fair, A&M has a 5-star.
Yep.
Sure.
LSU has a former 5-star. Oklahoma has a former 5-star. And Brady Cook in Missouri has more experience than any of those players. So any 5 of those quarterbacks could end up being the best this year between Wegman, Cook, Arnold,
that's what makes it fun.
And Iamaleava.
Of those first 4, the big 4 you mentioned, I'd look at what's putting them in the natty or the conversation of the playoffs as their defense, though. You look at Georgia's defense, what Alabama's defense should be again.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, we know what we've talked about with them, right? And then Texas.
Which had a really good defense last year.
To me, it's Oklahoma's inability to protect Jackson Arnold. They have 5 new starters on the offensive line, Oklahoma does.
Yeah.
I think it is significant how early Tennessee plays them.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at their entire offensive line. Tyler Guyton and Andrew Ram left early for the pros. 5-star freshman Caden Green transferred to Missouri after earning a starting spot. And then 2 of their other offensive linemen graduated.
Yeah.
So you got a guy coming back with a little bit of experience, a Jacob Sexton. You return Jake Taylor, who's a backup. You got a couple blue chips in there. And then they hit the portal and get guys from SMU, North Texas, and Michigan State. I mean, I think that is where the SEC is most different from the other conferences, is in the trenches and up front. That is the biggest, I think everyone else in college football has caught up at skill positions. You look across the Big Ten, you've got legitimate skill position talent at wide receiver. When you look at Oregon, who might have the best receiving core in the country, you've got Ohio State, who's got 5 stars everywhere. But in the trenches, that's the reason why Ohio State has been able to hang around.
Yep.
And Michigan has hung around because they also are built like SEC teams in the trenches.
I'm going to even go out and say I think that Tennessee defense this year is going to surprise a lot more folks than we're giving credit for. Right now, it's all offensive, and I'm smiling because I know that defense is going to be nice, even with the 3 young guys.
Tim Banks is on the record that he thinks Tennessee has the best defensive line in the country.
Sure.
I'm telling you.
Sure.
I think it's a top 3 SEC defensive line.
And imagine if that back end can just be good.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have to be great.
Yeah, you don't have to be
You just
great.
got to be
It's
good.
going to be great.
615-737-1045, your chance to react from what Brad Crawford had to say. We'll answer our own question, though. College football 25 is out. What G5 team are you taking to glory? I finally picked mine. We'll do that next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Letting you know our friends at Hiller, y'all, they're celebrating 34 years in business this year. They're bringing a celebration to you, though. It's kind of what they do because they are selfless, all right, with their birthday bash all this month until July 31st. You can enjoy a free smart thermostat with select new HVAC systems, free water tests on your home so you can see what those impurities are and how they can help you other ways throughout your house, free leak detection and shutoff valves with tankless water heaters. And right now, if you also buy 10 lights, you get 2 free landscaping lights. Celebrate Hiller's birthday bash all of this month by visiting happyhiller.com today for details.
Happy talking season to all who celebrate. SEC Media Days are here in Dallas. 615-737-1045. How you talk SEC football with us. And SEC products, Jeffery Simmons at a half hour. The pride of Mississippi State will join us at 9:20. Brett McMurphy this morning telling everyone where 2025 SEC Media Days will be. Any guesses? Where is SEC Media Days headed to next year?
Atlanta, back to Atlanta?
Sounded like Darth Vader over there. Dallas is this year and Atlanta next year.
Yeah, I was right.
Hey, now.
Good job, Darth Vader.
I am not your father.
I'm not your father. I feel like when you think about it, there's not a ton of places it can be in terms of big cities in the South. I would love it to be back here in Nashville again. I thought it was fun. But Atlanta, I feel like, always has the upper hand.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Buck Rising not having to go to SEC Media Days next year.
Again.
Right?
Yeah.
Congrats. Proud of you.
He's getting out of it.
Very happy for you. Who's your EA college football Dynasty team? Starting today, 3 o'clock, if you got the early access.
So can I ask a question on this? A fair question.
Yeah.
We will determine if it is fair or not.
Look, I would not. Washington State should not be considered at this point a Power 5, even though they are Pac-12. It's just Oregon State and Washington State, which, by the way, heck yeah. But at the same time, they're playing in the Mountain West schedule this year. So can I pick my own team?
Typically, people don't use their own team, but, I mean, you can pick whoever you want.
I just think, like, they're kind of like an underdog always, and it's such a cool... They've got Butch, Butch was at Pac-12 Media Days with the shirt open. Like,
who's Butch?
He's our mascot.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Technically, you're not supposed to pick your own.
But I mean,
my first one will be with Tennessee because I want to win a national championship with Tennessee.
Right.
Then I will go to my small school.
But you actually have a legit chance. Like Washington State, we don't really have a legit chance at winning a national championship.
I think we're going to vote no on that one, Kayla. We got to get you picking.
Okay, well, I'll go with Troy. I'll go with the Troy Trojans.
I like that.
I used to cover those guys. I like Troy.
Yeah, I'll go UT Chat.
They're not in the game.
UT Chat?
No.
What?
It's FBS teams only, Ramon.
FBS. It's not FBS. I know.
Crap.
You got 133 choices, and you still couldn't get in the navigational beacon.
I got Buffalo. Buffalo.
I love it.
Babuffalo. Okay.
Out of the MAC.
All right.
Buffalo out of the
Are they
MAC.
still in the MAC?
I like the weather aspect of it too.
You're gonna
like
you're
the
gonna turn on the
snow?
snow slider.
Doggone right.
I'd take Hawaii then for that aspect if I was going with
I don't
weather.
think we can go with weather.
all
But that's an advantage to the
ocean.
people that come to you though. That's nice weather all the time.
It's true.
Yeah.
Robert Walsh, who you got?
So I have a interesting choice ahead of me. Last night, me and my friends all did our randomizer, and it was decided that you get you got to randomize as many times until you got 3 non-Power 5s.
Okay.
Here are the schools that I have to choose between for the first iteration of this league, whatever the hell it is. I could either be a UTEP Minor. I could be a Western Michigan Bronco. Is that what they are, Bronco?
Yep.
Or I could be the Thundering Turd with Marshall.
Oh, I thought...
I'm leaning towards Marshall.
I would go
Really?
Marshall and do We Are Marshall and play that clip before every game.
The only issue is that is one of ECU's biggest rivals.
Never mind.
That's why I was wondering why you picked them.
I didn't pick them. It was random.
Yeah.
These are the
Okay.
only ones that I had no hand in this. But it would be nice to, sometimes you want to be the Darth Vader. You don't always want to be Luke Skywalker. Sometimes you want to be Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So
I would go. I'd go to the MAC, man.
I think Huntington would be a hype city for me, though. Like a place where nothing is going on, just a strict college football town where I can
It's a fun college
sit
town.
down at an Applebee's and get a $1 Long Island iced tea until they kick me out. I feel like that's the place I should be the offensive coordinator for.
I'm with you on that one. That makes sense. That's your style.
A couple votes for MTSU in the F&M Bank chat. A great pick to take them to glory.
Austin P.
I am taking. They're not in the game either. Again, FBS teams.
Vanderbilt's getting some votes.
FBS team.
FBS. All right, for sure.
I am taking my talents to Statesboro, Georgia. The Eagles of Georgia Southern. The new kids on the block in FBS. I love a team that has cool tradition, despite being in the G5 or the G6, whatever we're calling it now, the others in college football. The numbers on the helmet, the FCS tradition, the titles that have been won running the flex bone. I'm going to bring a shotgun run and shoot to Statesboro, Georgia after I win a national title with Tennessee first. I will always run the option.
You always run the option?
Always. I am a spread them out and run the ball kind of guy. I will recruit athletes that could play other positions, but I switch them to quarterback and run like with 95 speed QBs. Just touchdown.
This is really inside baseball, but the game is starting to tick me off with the fact of, it's going to give us early access. What would I like to do with early access? I would like to create my fake team. I would like to create my fake college. And Team Builder is not out yet. We will learn more about that today at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
So you'll get to know when you can make your fake university later today.
Bucket on Twitter says, shout out Moan wanting to run with the Mocs.
Yeah, I did.
A real one.
I tried.
Only if they were in the game.
Only if they were on the game.
UW on YouTube says
You
Kennesaw
can make them,
State.
yes,
that was
sure.
my second choice, was Kennesaw State. The Owls. Another new kid on the block. Anyway. But there was one year I made... I didn't have any friends. I made TSSAA Division II high schools.
All right, no.
And I ended the Conference USA, and I had like MBA and Innsworth and MUS and Christian Brothers and BA and all these schools.
Did you make players for them too?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was broadcasting, in the middle of running, and I would run 70 miles a week. And as I was recovering, I would make the rosters, at least the starters, because I was broadcasting high school football. So I knew all the teams.
Yeah.
So I would give them their actual quarterbacks. I would make their jerseys.
Oh, goodness.
A lot of fun.
That's
what I did instead of getting kill streaks on Call of Duty. That's what I did.
Anyway. I wasn't doing that at all.
615-737-1045 is our number. What do you want to hear from Jeffery Simmons today? We'll take your questions on that before he joins us at 9:20. Coming up.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation. Kayla, it is hot out and cooling your home is more expensive than ever. If you have old, inefficient windows, they are costing you hundreds of dollars a year in energy bills, all right? And you may hear similar offers from other home improvement companies, but guess what? That's why Window Nation is the best, because you don't have to worry about everything they do. They are experts at it, Kayla. All they do is windows.
That is right. The average installer has over 16 years of experience, 20,000 windows installed. Look, we all trust them with our windows in our homes, and that is a good reason for you to as well. If you're dealing with not being able to open the windows, maybe you're seeing some mold in there or just condensation, that probably means you need new windows from our friends at Window Nation. And right now, they have their semi-annual sale going on, 50% off all window styles, 0 interest for 5 years, and an additional bonus discount if you book it this week. So go ahead and check out windownation.com, or you could follow them and call them at 866-90Nation.
What's going on at 9:02? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. Major League Baseball draft got started yesterday, and the Tennessee Volunteers cleaned up, leading all schools and players drafted on night one with 4. Christian Moore went 8th overall to the Angels. Blake Burke, 34th overall to the Brewers. Billy Amick in the second round, 60th overall to the Twins. And Dylan Dreiling to the Rangers at 65. SEC Media Days start today. 3HL will be live from Dallas, keeping you up to date on all the happenings. Today, you'll hear from Commissioner Greg Sankey, Brian Kelly, Shane Beamer, Lane Kiffin, and Clark Lee. In the NFL, Ian Rappaport reporting T. Higgins and the Bengals will not come to a new contract agreement by the deadline today, meaning Higgins will play on the franchise tag for the 2024 season. He officially signed the franchise tag on June 17th. And in case you missed it, coming up this hour, Titans defensive lineman Jeffery Simmons joining the show at 9:20. But if for whatever reason you can't be in the car, you missed the interview, what have you, make sure you check out your podcast channels immediately following the show. It will be available for all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs. Visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the show. Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues on 104.5 The Zone, RKW. We will be joined in 20 minutes by Jeffery Simmons. Live here on the program. That's right, Mike Keith. 615-737-1045. How you join us. We are streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. If you are heading into a 9 to 5 and you can't join us at 9:20, never fear. Wherever you download podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, 1045thezone.com. Our chat with Jeff will be posted immediately after we get done with him. Should be right around 10 o'clock by the time it populates on your podcast feed. Looking forward to having a very big Jeff on the show coming up in just a few.
I'm excited.
Yes, indeed.
We haven't talked to him since the end of last year in person. He's been on some national shows. I know made an appearance on Rich Eisen recently, talking about Caleb Williams' painted nails and how we will be coming for him, which I cannot wait to see. But no, in all seriousness, I think it will be good to catch up with him. And specifically for me, just knowing how in pain he was last year to end the season and, you know, going out there and probably playing a lot of the time injured. And I know there was a lot of rehabbing that went on for Jeffery Simmons in this offseason. It looks like he is all good to go. So wanted to just kind of touch base with that. And if he's feeling healthy, I know he just had his camp, I do believe back in Mississippi. So he's clearly out and about. And I know he's got a birthday coming up next week too. So he's got lots of stuff happening right here with the thick of training camp coming up.
Yeah, he does. It's the time to start winding down and concentrating on football. I'm looking forward to it, man. Conversation should be good. One thing that Buck did bring up, and this, I guess if you look at it too, he is the elder statesman as far as respect, prestige, and gets notoriety for this team. It is a Jeff-centric squad, I think, now as far as who you highlight, right? Without Derek being in town and Vrabel being in town, I expect a lot out of Jeff this year for a lot of different reasons, man. One, he's a super pro at this point. Not anything should shock him anymore moving forward. And it's, I guess what's next is, what's the line on you performing and worrying about yourself? And also, if you have to, dragging your teammates along to show them what the standard is, too.
Sure.
You know, that's why the quarterback is always the guy. Why? Mm-hmm. Quarterback makes the most plays, and he's the one that everybody looks to whenever you go out there on the field and the practice and the building. So the leadership is there. As young as Levis is in year 2, I think a lot of that falls on Jeff, which is why I said I think it's smart to have guys that are like-minded, like him, and strong coaches, too, to help him in those moments.
I'm sorry. I caught wind of somebody like doing motion in the the room behind us, behind the glass. It is Bert doing push-ups as we are on air. He is getting his reps in there doing push-ups. Sorry, that caught me off guard for a second.
Just waiting for a podcast to render. Don't mind me.
I was like us talking about Big Jeff. I thought you were like needing to get in the mode of like Big Jeff mode, like pumping them arms up. That was really impressive, Bert. But yeah, no, I think you make good points on that, Ramon, with the leadership side of things. Also, just curious with Denard Wilson, how that relationship has built so far in the offseason with him and Big Jeff, knowing Big Jeff is a part of this defense that is going to lead the way.
I was not aware Jeffery Simmons and I were born on the exact same day. Same year and everything.
No kidding.
1997. Shout out.
That is wild.
We both turned 27 in 13 days.
Hey,
that is really cool.
Look at your birthday sake here.
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about, Will. I knew you was famous.
I don't care. I don't care when I was born.
Really
nor does our audience. I don't know. I feel like once you move past 16 or 21, it's just kind of like, well, okay.
No, you just wait till you hit 30 and then 40 and all those other years.
No, I'm looking forward to celebrating your birthday with you, Will.
Stuff like that is so crazy, though, when you see, you're like, oh, man, this guy's playing in the NFL. Like, if you like, there's like, who's the player that was, anyway, they've.
Lamine Yamal was the Spain player I think you're thinking of.
We were born on the exact same day. And like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be 31 in August. Like, look what I've done in my life. And then you see like an NFL player who was turns 31.
Yeah.
Oh, look at all they've done in their life. It makes you really feel like a piece of crap.
That became a thing on social media last week because Lamine Yamal plays for Spain, who just won the European Championship yesterday over England. He turned 17 on Saturday and just started at right wing the entire Euros for Spain. And it was a big thing on social media of like Lamine Yamal at 16, scoring in a semifinal to beat France. Me at 16, getting a kill streak on Nuketown on Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Do you guys have any fun birthday buddies, like people you share birthdays with?
Cheeto Awuzie.
Jeffrey Simmons, Alex Rodriguez, Harry Kane, unfortunately, trophyless
way too
scrub,
many of these people.
And then Emile Smith-Rowe for Arsenal, whom I love very much.
I just looked mine up, and I've got some crazy ones. I've got Meghan Markle, Obama, the Sprouse twins. You guys remember
that's a lunch
Sweet
table.
Life of Zach and Cody?
That was my favorite Disney show growing up.
And Louis Vuitton and Louis Armstrong. So I've got I know Ramon's like, hold on now, watch out. Now, did you see that collection?
Coming up, the RKW draft of famous Louis. Those are picks 1 and 2.
I've got Bob Dylan. I've got G-Eazy out of the Bay Area rapper. Like I said, Cheeto. That's about the biggest ones. Bartolo Colon.
Yeah. Okay.
Athlete.
We talked about him this morning.
Big fella.
Yeah, big fella. So I got Blue Ivy Carter, Jay-Z and Beyonce daughter.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton, Nicolas Cage.
Sir Lewis Hamilton to you.
And I knew me and Lamar Jackson shared the birthday.
Shut up. Happy birthday.
Shut up.
Dang, man. I didn't know. That's so cool,
There you go.
dude.
Yeah,
If you listen to this show, you're going to know who everyone's birthday is, no doubt.
Ozzy Albies, too, by the way. It's a January
World
7th.
Series champion, Ozzy Albies.
Ooh, I got
If you're
Patti
a Phillies
LaBelle,
fan,
too.
you can't say the same.
Yeah. Who's that? You
Patti
also?
LaBelle.
Patti LaBelle. Patty Pies, I heard. Selling everything. Never mind.
you go.
I was gonna go for
When's your birthday? Call us 615-737.
No, please don't call us. I will not pick up your call if you call us to ask for a birthday shout out. We will not put you on air.
There's a lot of TikTokers.
We do
on
not
there.
care.
Oh, God.
Mike Tomlin, Will Bowling, 2024.
There's a lot of TikTokers.
It is. There's a lot of these folks I haven't even heard of. They're on here for who was Clicks?
Good, don't give them credit.
Twitch star? I ain't even got
Who
a
the heck
clue who that
knows,
is.
dude?
A lot of Twitch stars
Who the
today
heck
playing
knows?
college football 25. And really yesterday, because all the streamers got early access to the game, which...
Do you get the full game?
Yeah.
It's
I
the
get
full
it,
game.
I get it
Okay.
today at 3 p.m. after my meeting.
I thought it was like the prelim, like preloaded part that Madden does to you. Oh, you can play the past championship game. It's not that. It's the
This
whole
is not
game.
the demo.
Okay.
Demos are a thing of the past now.
Whole thing.
Now they make you pay extra and you get it 3 days early. And I said, shut up and take my money.
Crime
How much
will go down
was
today.
it?
I think $20 more.
Okay.
And you get some added benefits. You could do one for $100 that would give you Madden also. We do not care about Madden. We don't need Madden.
One of my friends,
NCAA football.
one of my friends was arguing with us. He was like, "I'm not paying $20 to get the game early." I'm like, "If you're broke, just say that, man.
Just say it.
Do you need $20?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people, right?
Do you need money, honey? Are you hungry?
No
Are you
one judge me. That's a meme.
That's my
a meme on
favorite
Twitter.
Bert voice. You get the $20.
So it was funny on that point right there. So Angel Reese addressed like a bunch of dudes in her DMs asking to get flued out, basically fly them out. And she basically, I think, said no.
She was like, no, we ain't flying none of y'all out.
take a train.
If you're broke, just say so, Angel. Come on, what are we doing?
That's what the guys were saying. If you ain't got it, just say it.
It's okay. We're good.
Why would she want to fly those idiots out?
By the way, we were asking for Cameron Brink, not you, Angel. All right, we're good.
No, they asked for both.
No, that's cool. I will ride a train to Angel Reese.
Queen Angel Reese. Shut him down,
A
Angel.
lot of the replies were like, "It's okay. I'd crawl over broken glass to get there. You don't need to fly me out."
You'll fly JetBlue to get there?
Oh yeah, no matter. I'd take a taxi. She can get me a one-wheeled bicycle.
Man.
I'm good on her. I'm good on Angel Reese. Coming up next, Jeffery Simmons joins Ramon, Kayla, and Will after this.
If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked, and it's just a simple blood test. And with their on-site lab, you'll get results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatments for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for the treatment. For established patients with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, your BMI health can also be evaluated for treatment with prescription weight loss medication. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Monday morning, hour number 4 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW right here on 104.5 The Zone with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined this morning by Tennessee Titans defensive lineman Jeffery Simmons. Jeff, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're good, Jeff.
We're good. How is off-season training going? How healthy are you going into training camp next week?
I feel great, man. Off-season been great. Spent a lot of time with the family. Been back and forth a little bit between Dallas and here in Nashville. And, of course, I spent a little time in Mississippi, with my camp and everything in that nature. But like I said, I feel great. Body feeling great. I'm ready to roll with the new coaching staff. And like I said, it's one of them years where, I kind of go back to kind of what we used to talk about, even with a couple years ago with Vanderbilt. Like, we see all the other stuff out there, but, we only got to prove the guys in the locker room right now. Start in training camp. And we don't play a football game until September. So, we got a lot of work to do, and I'm excited to get back to work.
So, Jeff, we did not see you, obviously, at mandatory minicamp at OTAs. What was your focus over this offseason, and what were you working on in the facility to get ready for this upcoming season?
I was just, had a list of things I was working through from last year that, me and the trainers and them just didn't feel like I I needed to get out there at that moment. But like I said, I've been right today at this point, when I report to training camp, I'll be on the field, I'm ready to go. But one of the things that we was working on was just even with some of the small injuries that I had in the past, that they're trying to get everything feeling 100%. I think going to year 6, of course, like everything not going to be feeling that 100%, but it's how can you get to the season feeling the best you can. And I think right now, that, like I said, Todd and them had a great plan, with Coach Callahan and they had a great plan for me, with the condition, with me doing some rehabbing inside, and just overall, man, just, the playbook, it's a brand new install. I would meet extra with Clint. I would meet with, asking Denard questions. I was asking Rock questions and stuff in that nature. So I think the biggest thing for me was, especially during the OTAs and the mini camp, it was like, what can I do? And while I'm not on the field, which I have learned that, especially from my rookie year, how can you get better as a player by not actually getting them physical rep on the field, but mentally, how can you get better with the playbook and getting to know, especially a lot of new guys in the building, get to know all them guys. And I think that's one of the biggest things I was taking from it, trying to get to know a lot of my new teammates as well.
Jeffery Simmons joining us this morning on RKW. All right, Jeff, so when it comes to this new defense, first of all, we heard the words attacking and aggressive when Denard Wilson took the podium for the first time. What are you looking most forward to with this new defense, and what has that relationship been like with Denard Wilson, getting to know him?
Man, it's been unbelievable, Kelly. I would say, because of course I'm in every meeting, even early OTAs before I end up going back to Dallas for a little bit. Before minicamp, I was there, and I was like, and of course, me and Arden sit beside each other, so we both just looking at each other like, man, it's time. Let's go play right now. It was so like the energy he's bringing just in the meeting room, and what you can expect out of his defense, and what he expects out of his defense. It's like it's gonna be unbelievable. I'm excited. I think them words attacking and I think the word attack is one of the biggest things that, I've been seeing, especially just in hearing from guys up front. And, it's just a different style, I think, the way he brings, his energy he brings. So I'm excited to play with him. He texted me the other day, and we were just joking back and forth. And I told him I can't wait to hit the field with him, and then to actually, see him on the field. I got a little bit of it when I end up joining the guys during practice, but everyone knows training camp and when them pads come on, it's totally different. When you actually get a little closer to the game, the season, everything is different. So I'm excited about that. Like I said, tremendous respect for him when he first came in and we sat down and talked and he told me his plans for me. I think that really got me excited, just being able to try to find them matchups with me and, putting me in position to make plays. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see how he can get our defense back to where I know it should be at.
With Danico Autry gone, and I know that was your dude, and T'Vondre Sweat now, the rookie coming in. I know we haven't seen a lot of him, but please inform us and enlighten us on, what it's been like getting to know him and what he can bring besides you on that line.
I mean, as you see, like you said, I haven't really saw much of him on the field. Of course, we see some of the stuff that he was doing rookie minicamp and stuff in that nature. But, the biggest thing for him, I think, is just, figuring out everything that he got going on. I haven't talked to him that much right now, but, I know, we was in a group chat messing with him on his birthday, of course, but I know for a fact that, he wanted to be good. I could tell his mindset when he in the building, when we was in the meeting rooms and, we spent a lot of the time in the training room together while everybody was at practice. I could tell that, he want to get to that point where, we could count on him and we could trust him. He was working his tail off, just trying to get himself back on the field. No one wanted to be in that training room. And it's one of the things we were just talking about, just take care of your body and let's get back on the field. But I know he'll be ready for training camp. So, but like I said, he's a big dude. When you walk past him and, you take his hand and, he's a big dude. And I honestly believe that if he can put it all together and, my job as a leader and especially a leader in that room, my job is to push him past the limit that, he think he has. My job is just to help him try to elevate as a player, because at the end of the day, he can help me and I can help him. When we playing together, we're on the same page. Like I said, when you have a nose tackle who, when you watch him in college football, he's a dominant nose tackle. He can push the pocket, he can win some his one-on-ones, and I don't hate to bring up the past, but sometimes when you look back at it, like, man, just about we had that consistent at that nose position. I think that's where one of the things I talked to him about when we were talking a little bit, just how consistent you can be when you walk into this building. Even when the bad days and not all when you're having a good day or a good game. How can you be a consistent player and just a consistent guy in the building? Because that's where we look for as teammates. We don't want especially when you got some guys that up and down. Of course, sometimes guys just wake up and be like, I don't want to be bothered. But as a leader, with me, I just try to go in the building and, try to give the guys the same thing that they get when I have a 2-sack game versus, no stats. I've just been happy for your teammates. So that's one of the things, we just talked about and me just trying to help him, see and feel the locker room as a young guy because, we dropped him for a reason. We count on him to come in and help us play. Help us win a game, especially in the inside of the pocket. Because and more than anybody, how much I talk about pushing the pocket, and especially talking about in our division, you got all these skilled quarterback now that can run the ball and also throwing the ball pretty well. So at the end of the day, in order for us to win, especially on defense, we drafted him for a reason. I'm expecting big things out of him.
Tennessee Titans Jeffery Simmons is with us this morning. Big Jeff, you said on October 29th of 2023 against the Atlanta Falcons, I told y'all that blank is a quarterback. That damn Will Levis can play. What did you see before he went on the field to where you, again, had a former teammate and Ryan Tannehill who was there, and having a young guy in the building like Will Levis, man, not trying to create one against the other, but what did you see about him when he took over in that moment that you were telling everybody else, I told y'all?
I think it was the up into it. I would tell people, like, you know, Mississippi State played Kentucky, and I'm like, this dude could play, but not knowing he was even going to get drafted to us. But I think when Vrabel, of course, announced to the team that Will was going to be the starter, and I even go back to training camp. When I saw him in training camp, I'm like, this guy, he could throw the ball. Like, he's spinning his ball. Like, he released. I was so impressed by the release. I don't know nothing about quarterback other than trying to sack him. Like, I'm looking at his release. I'm like, that release is, like, nice. And I'm sitting over there. I remember just telling me and T used to joke back and forth. I was like, hey, Will can play now. But, you know, that's just, like, kind of what me and T used to joke about. But then I think when Vrabel broke the news to the team and just telling them what we were doing going forward, you know, when you go to practice and he with the Warrens, and now, of course, you paying a little bit more attention to him. Everyone is locked in, and I was remember just talking, me and Arden, of course, talking smack with each other, and he was like, I told you on Sunday, but I was the one that actually told him. I was like, all right, wait till Sunday. Will's going to turn this thing back around for us. But, you know, just that game right there, Will just showed that week of preparation. He showed that, you know, he wanted it, and he really to help us win games. You know, the connection he had with the guy that week, and I was excited going into that game. Of course, the goal was to win that game going into that week. So I'm already, you know, excited. I'm like, for myself, you know, when I'm watching film, like, this is about to be one of them weeks. You know, I got the game plan. I'm like, this is gonna be a week. Then got a new starting quarterback. It's like, it's kind of one of the things where, I mean, I had a like deja vu from my rookie year, my first game, and that's the first game I think Ron ended up starting. That's the game when I think they benched Mariota, and it was like, it's like a fresh air, you know, kind of new beginning. You know, don't get me wrong, like, I love Tannehill. See him today, you know, same respect that I have from him. But like you said, sometimes, you know, whatever especially with the coaches, that's the reason why they have a job. You know, they felt like it was time for change. And like I said, it's one of them new beginner things. And, you know, he came out there hot. He came out there balling, and he had a great day. And I'll never forget, like I said, me and Arden was sitting there talking smack, and I remember him going on that field. I said, here we go. I mean, Orange just looking at each other, and I was like, Tommy threw that touchdown. I said, I told you. Well, of course, Arden's going to say he told me.
Of course.
But no, you know, I have a lot of faith in Will. You know, just seeing him work, even this offseason, doing OTAs, and when I was at minicamp, you know, we sat in the steam room a couple of times, just having a conversation about this upcoming season, and with the new offense. I tell you, I think he's more excited, especially being able to, you know, open up the offense and get to his receivers a lot more this year. I know he's excited just by some of the conversation we did have. So I'm expecting another, you know, great start for Will, and even better finish for him this year. I'm excited for him. You know, I expect big things out of Will this year for sure.
With that being said, you kind of set up the next way I wanted to go with this, too, is sometimes inside the locker room, inside the building, or just personally, you know guys a little bit better than everybody else outside of it, right? You see things where we sometimes as outsiders don't recognize, like, hey, why is this guy starting? Well, it's because the coaches have seen his teammates trust him and whatnot, too. As of late, this past weekend, there was a little back and forth, I guess, you had as far as your expression of how you felt the media covers certain people. And I think it's a reaction of the Jamal Adams signing. And you said you were bookmarking certain things, man, as far as the coverage of it. What's your take on that now, a few days removed, man, on just the perception of how the team that you are the known leader of is taking these days?
Well, Ramon, you've been in the locker room. No one knows your teammates, and no one knows the guys in your teammates. I mean, in your locker room better than you. Like, you've been in that locker room. And a lot of people, a lot of the media, and no offense to even you, Kelly, it just, you know, when you play the game and you see stuff like that, and especially with some of the, and there's a lot of men who never played a game, and it seems like, you know, they really don't have respect for the locker room. and I get it that some of them try to, get the stories out and try to get the clicks, but it's like, I just, especially, I don't care. And that's one thing about me, and you guys see that on Sunday. Like, I don't care if our offense on the field or if it's special team. If I see something or something going on with my teammates, I'm gonna be that guy. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna step up for my teammates, and of course that get me in trouble sometimes. But at the end of the day, I take the being the guy of the locker room. I take being like me saying that this is my locker room serious. Of course, like you can't control what nobody tweet. You can't control what nobody say. But it's just some of the guys who tweeted. It's like, man, like you the same guy that be in the locker room, hi, and laughing with guys who we even just signed or that been here. But it's like you get outside of the building, it's like something totally different. And like I said, you can't control that. And I think I did tweet that, but at the end of the day, you can't control what they tweet. But also, reason why I did say I bookmarked that, because I remember, and I'm not going to call him a name, but I remember we signed a guy, and all of a sudden he started having a great year. Mm-hmm. And then boom, everything just started like domino effect. He having a great year, like boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden, you see also some guys want to get him on the radio. They want to get him on his show, or they want to do an interview with him. They come into our locker room, but it's like when they wanted to talk to him, he was like, "Nah, I'm good." And then, then they also getting mad that he didn't want to talk at the time. So it's just things like that where, even with the Jamal Adams signing, I've been a fan of Jamal Adams for a long time, and I would say like when Rand texted me before the news, he called me before the news even broke. He was like, "We're about to sign him. He in town tonight. You want to stop through with dinner?" And I was so excited. Like I said, just being able to watch him and knowing what he do bring to a team. His energy. Even Denari, like, we finally got a guy who talk more smack to you. I was like, I don't know about that one. Which I do know he talk a lot of smack. And that's why I know that he gonna fit in with our defense so well, and the type of defense that Denari bringing. This type of defense that he have here now in Tennessee, I just knew, like when Rand said we were signing him, no matter his role, which no one knows yet, but I was excited for the signing. But it's like, yes, we know Jamal been hurt. Shit, I've been hurt. Right. But at the end of the day, it's like don't kill someone before they even get started. Yeah. That'd be my biggest thing, and that's the reason why I did tweet that. I just. Give people opportunity, and that's what this life all about. Maybe one opportunity wasn't good enough, two opportunities not good enough. But once they find, I feel like once guys find the system for them, once they find that team for them, I think that's when they can flourish. And I go back to Nico. The coach didn't value him. We value the mess out of him the last couple of years. Haiti not with us now. And then he came and he been balling. He was balling for us the last couple of years. So, like I said, I'm excited for the signing. That tweet, of course, was going on crazy over in social media because a lot of people kind of knew, and they kind of felt like that tweet was for them. Someone even sent me something. One of the local media said it was soft on my behalf, but no one, them guys not gonna call me soft in my face and nothing like that. As we know, and it's not one of the things where I'm looking for no drama with the tweet, but also it's like, you guys can speak your mind. I'm also able to speak my mind as well. I'm not a football player. I have the right to speak my mind on my social media as well too. So I think that's pretty much it on that. Like I said, of course everyone blew it up, but we also want to, like I said earlier in this interview right here, we're not out to prove no one right is or wrong. We trying to prove ourselves that we know what we're gonna have in our locker room. Like I said, it start in a week. Yeah. So yeah. I'm excited for that.
Jeffery Simmons, our guest on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Jeff Arden-Key talked earlier this offseason about the way you guys practice on defense specifically changing a little bit. And he made the point that maybe in the past you guys weren't correcting things that were wrong in the moment. Now, y'all are always correcting things in the moment if something doesn't go right. Do you agree with that? And what is the biggest difference you feel like in the way you guys are practicing now with Denard Wilson?
I'm never a guy to just go kind of. You guys know me now. I think I hate to do the comparison.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things that we did kind of. I was talking to Arden about that. Just kind of let's just move on from that pass. Of course, like he said that, and I think he really didn't mean to say it to you guys, of course. But I, just the way that I have been seeing stuff from the walkthrough, and just speaking on this year from the walkthrough, from when they go to practice before I started going out there doing minicamp. I think I missed the first one, and when you get back in the meeting room, because after practice I still go to the meetings. I was doing everything but going on the field with the guys, and when you got a guy like Denard, who no matter, like I said, it could be the pre-practice walkthrough. He wants things the way he wanted it to be done. No matter if they support a press or is it supposed to be this guy's supposed to drop 5 yards, or I'm supposed to be in the A gap and when the whistle blow and I'm in the B gap or whatever it may be, he is going to call every single person out, even including myself. And I think that's going to be a big for our defense, having a young defense, majority around. And I think that's going to be big for us on defense. He demands high expectation from your defense, especially our secondary. He be on them guys, and like I say, he expects a lot out of everyone in that room, from the coaches down. He even be on some of the coaches, and just in that short amount of time that I have spent around him. I'm excited to play in this defense. And I know you guys asked about that question with Arden. And I kind of just don't want to kind of stir that back up, because I know a lot of people, I even saw a lot of people made a lot on that. And I'm telling you guys, like, I think my message to my teammates, this is a new year. We got a new coaching staff. Because one thing about, I think, growth, if you continue to live in that path, no matter if it's with sports, no matter if it's life, being a parent, you will never grow as a human being. So, I just, that's my message to all guys. Let's move forward, and hopefully we don't get Arden to do that again.
That's fair.
I got a quick
totally fair right here.
I know you said Fletcher Cox is a guy you looked up to. Ideally, do you see for yourself in this franchise, the way they built that Super Bowl and team around him, even as he got older in the double-digit years, is that kind of what you want for your career here, with Fletcher Cox being your guy?
Man, I think sometimes when you look at greats like Fletcher Cox had a hell of a career, and I'm kind of surprised that he retired. I knew he was going to retire a little bit, but I was still kind of surprised about it. But most definitely, man, when you look at some of your mentors, and a guy who, even when I was in college, he used to talk smack to me when I would get the SEC Player of the Week, and he'll send me. I remember him sending to me one time. He was like, "Young Buck, I got this 3 weeks in a row, or I got this many times." He said, "Keep it up," but at the same time, he know that I want to be great. I wanted to be great at the time when I was there at college. So that was just him, throwing stuff out there like that to push me to do it again, have another great week of in college football or whatever it may be. So, when you got a guy like that who had done it at a high level and did it at a high level, you can't help but to respect it. And them the type of guys you want to chase. Even with guys like Chris Jones, who's still playing the game, and just being in that talk with them sometimes, it just makes you feel good. But it's also one of the things where I'm very hard on myself. I'm like, it's not good enough. Like, everyone, you see all the summertime. Some people, of course, especially my family, they big on it. They see stuff with the rankings and they are posted, and I'm like, I'm not reposting that. I don't care about that, because if you're not one in my books, you last. And I want to be the best D tackle in this game, and that's my goal this year, to continue to, elevate my career because, quite frankly, I haven't reached that peak yet. I haven't, take to go back to last season. I missed the last 5 games. My goal is to get to a complete season, and quite frankly, if it's not number one and me leading the D tackles and statistics and sacks and all that, and the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl, then you're not the best. And I think that's the reason why a guy like Chris Jones is being talked and is the best in the game, in my opinion, right now, because he's winning. He won 3 Super Bowls, and every year he's leading the D tackles in statistics. So, like I said, that's my goal. My goal is to get to number one. In this off season, I've been working my tail off to get to that, get ready for this season, to continue to have a great career. And like I said, not looking on down the line, but at the end of my career, I do want to be known as one of the best D tackles that play this game and have a lead a type of impact on the game of football, like guys like Fletcher Cox did, and have young defensive tackle looking up to me as I looked up to Fletcher Cox.
No doubt.
He is Jeffery Simmons joining us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Excellent stuff from the face of the Tennessee Titans training camp next week. Jeff, really awesome insight, man. We really appreciate the time.
Definitely.
See you soon, Jeff.
Most definitely. See you guys next week. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. There is Jeffery Simmons with us here this morning on the show. We will react to that and wrap up the show next.
If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked, and it's just a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatments for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for the treatment. For established patients with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, your BMI health can also be evaluated for treatment with prescription weight loss medication. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Wrapping up the show, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone. I'm going to go a little bit late here, so you might get 90 seconds less of the Buck Rising show. That's okay. He'll get paid the same either way. Great stuff with Jeffery Simmons. That's going to be on your favorite podcast feed very, very shortly. We will react to a ton of that tomorrow morning as well, and really the rest of the week, because there was a ton to dissect from Jeff. What stood out the most, guys?
I think just in terms of like getting excited about this new defense and not wanting to think about the past, I think that's the right way to approach it when you want to be successful. I think working with T'Vondre Sweat, that'll be interesting. He expects the best, and rightfully so. And the big word to use with T'Vondre, to find that consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah.
I think he said a lot of things that was pointed at things of the past, like he mentioned at that D tackle spot, right there, nose tackle spot. He didn't say names and mention guys, but he wants consistency as a player. And just Denard Wilson defensively challenge everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, and he said it right at the end, saying with the type of defense we have, Denard is a specific kind of personality that I think meshes with a young defense versus
Love it.
a veteran group. I think that's interesting, and something we can get back into more tomorrow. That is the show.
Sweet.
It went by quick last segment. But when you got a very big Jeff on the show, you have a big segment.
Yes, indeed.
Truth.
And that's exactly what we did. Hit the podcast feed if you missed any of that. It is available wherever you download podcasts. Ramon Foster, send us home.
Hey, you must remember at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always out.